Hello, guys. Namaskaram. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to different people who have been joined from different part of the world. So, today's September 9th, the Global Testers Day, and since this since today or since like last week ago, I wasn't even able to understand what is this Testers Day is all about and why do testers need a day to just to celebrate as themselves. So yeah, today's a day like we celebrate the unsung heroes of the digital world, the testers. And people thinks that testing is just a kind of a boring job or just only about finding bugs and things like that, but testers are the people who completely ensures quality, reliability, and user satisfaction. So first of all, a happy testers day to each and every one of you who have been in this board to hear me, to be with us, and to the people who have been listening to this after the live broadcast. So I'm so glad to be your host, and myself, I'm Sharath, a product specialist from QA Touch, and I'll be the host for the next couple of hours with you. And yeah, you may have to bear with me. I'm so sorry for that. So first, what we have is like why do we need to celebrate a testers day on this testers occasion? Like of course, like for example, if we go into certain websites, or if you're in a position to go through some user domains, or if you just go through internet, something like that, everything is completely smooth for us, right? And have you thought of the reason why it is smooth? It's completely because of testers, guys, because testers play a pivotal role in each and every kind of domain. So let it be a film industry, let it be a gaming industry, or let it be any kind of industries, there are testers. So I would like to start our event with the first person, like the KGF person, the most rock star, which is Prashant Hegide. So he's actually one of our community users. At the same time, he is actually one of a rock star of the entire pan India, the pan world. And yes, by seeing him, I would like to call him as a KGF. Like if you are into South Indian films, obviously, like you know the rock star film KGF, and I would like to refer him to a KGF. So, hey Prashant, how are you?
Hey, Sharath, thank you so much. That's a great introduction. I was just, hoping for that KGF drum roll.
I thought of because since it's live, like we cannot put in like, so if it's like getting broadcasted after this, obviously we'll edit the video and put KJ drum
I
roll
was
for
just
sure.
kidding. Yeah,
I know, I completely. So how's things going with you? Like, first of all, thank you so much for being a Saturday. You just found time to be with us. So first of all, we QA Touch and I myself so grateful for you. And like, you are the community user. Like, wherever I have a doubt, or even in case I need certain research from a customer's point of, and I just jump onto you. Like, okay, Prashant, go to Prashant. Me and myself, Bhavani, like we are like go-to people for Prashant. So first of all, thank you so much for being one of our
thank
valuable
you so
guests in
much
this
for
event.
having me. Thank you so much for giving me a platform on this wonderful day. Thank you, QA.
Pleasure is all ours. Pleasure is all ours. So yeah, guys. So next, Prashant will be taking us through certain the life experience, like how we can think as a tester. So Prashant, the pod is all yours
Thank you so
now.
much. Let me share my screen. Just let me know if you can see my screen. Can you confirm? Sharath,
Yes,
are
Prashant, it's
you?
visible. Yes, it's
Okay.
visible.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us here today. I firstly wish you all a very happy International Software Testers Day. I wish that this Software Testers Day brings much more happiness in your lives and much more success in your careers as testers. I want to start with a question. What differentiates testers from others? Think about it for a moment. What separates or what differentiates testers from others? What differentiates testers from others is our, or I would say, the way we think differentiates us testers from the rest. Because testers think differently, testers think critically. This is what makes us stand out from the rest. Software testing is not a simple comparison activity where you compare uh, output of a program with expected results. Software testing is an intellectual activity. Software testing requires exploration, and to explore, you need to think really well. To be a good tester, the primary thing to do is you need to think like one. Unfortunately, in our education or even in our software testing trainings, we are never taught how to think well or to do good decisions. Because at the end, software testing is critical thinking applied to software products. So, hence, I thought this talk would be relevant today. I know there are, uh, I would say, advancements in technology, whether it is AI, automation, or other tools, which is important. We need to embrace them, and that will take us forward. However, consciously or unconsciously, we do not invest in sharpening our thinking when that is the core of software testing. So I really like this quote from the book Lessons Learned in Software Testing. It says the difference between excellent testing and mediocre testing is how you think. I would put it on a t-shirt. So if you ask me, by the end of this talk, will I be a better thinker and eventually be a better tester? Well, I cannot guarantee that. However, by the end of this talk, you will learn a new thinking tool. I will also guide you to some ideas and resources that can help you in your journey to become a better thinker and ultimately a better tester. Before we start, a little bit about myself. My name is Prashant Hegde. I'm a passionate software testing leader from India. I have almost a decade of experience in the software testing space. I have published more than 50 articles for various software testing blogs. I currently head the testing unit at a company called MoEngage, which is a leading marketing automation and customer engagement platform. You can connect with me. I'll be happy to connect with each and every one of you. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, and you can find all my latest content on my website, prashanthegde.biz. I hope you guys can hear me fine. I just need a confirmation from Sharat, maybe. Uh, you can hear me and see me fine, right?
Yes, Prashant, you're audible. You're
Thank you so
completely
much.
audible and visible. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Today, I want to tell you a story. This is a story of a man who saved the world. This is a story of a Russian military lieutenant colonel named Stanislav Petrov. Many of us don't even know, probably don't even know who this person is and what he did to save the world. So, this is an incident that happened in 1983. Let me give you some context of this time. So, after the end of World War II, though the real war ended, there was emergence of two superpowers. One was the United States, the other was the Soviet Union or Russia. So these two superpowers were competing for global dominance. These two superpowers, uh, though they did not have real war, there was something called as Cold War. They had proxy wars, and they also competed for advancements in technology, space exploration, and also development of nuclear weapons. So by the end of 1960, both United States and the Soviet Union had so much nuclear weapons that they could not only just destroy each other if there was a war, but that would also lead to a World War III, probably ending the whole world. So the geopolitical tensions between these two superpowers was kind of increasing day by day. That's when this particular situation happened. So to kind of negate this nuclear power development from one another, both these superpowers, what they did is they developed something called as ballistic missile early warning systems. So both these powers developed these satellite based systems that could geographically look at, from a satellite, via satellite they would look at the rivals landscape, and give an early warning if there was a missile launch. And this information was directly shared from the satellite to a command center. So our hero Stanislav Petrov actually works in one of these command centers called as Serpukhov 15. So it was just a normal day for our hero, and he was sitting in front of his console. It was in fact the I would say the flashy, the very advanced technology at that time that Petrov had. He was sitting in front of his system, and it was just a normal day. After a few hours of his duty, something happened. What Petro did not know was this day was going to be the most important day of his life. So after a few hours, his screen lights up and the sirens start to sound. What Petro sees shocks him completely. What he sees on his screen is there is a nuclear missile launched from the United States and it is targeting Moscow. So, usually, when there is a nuclear launch, there is very minimal time to react. From the launch to the impact, there is only 25 minutes. To give you some idea about the Petro's role here, is Petro was a critical link in decision making. So, if there was any missile launch, the protocol was that he had to call his superiors and tell them immediately. But more importantly, what his job was to analyze all the information from these systems and share this information with the military command so that they can make some good decisions or retaliation strategy. I relate him to a tester because what do we testers do? Our job as testers is not just to test a software, find bugs, or prevent bugs. Our job as testers is also to find valuable information about the product that we are testing. Our job is to find the truth. That's how I put it. We find the information about the products that we are working and share that information with our stakeholders so that they can make uh, some good decisions about the release of the product and so on. Right? Again, coming back to the story. So Petro was shocked. Before even he could act, there was more there was more serious news. What he saw was there were four more nuclear missiles which showed to be launched from the United States. And the system showed that the reliability of these warnings as highest. So basically, the systems told that they were absolutely sure that there is a missile launch. That too, a nuclear missile launch. 5 nuclear missiles were launched. Petrov felt as if he was sitting on a hot frying pan. And think about it for a moment. What would you do if you were in position of Petrov? Right, the decision that Petrov makes will decide the future of this planet probably, right? And the course of the history also. So our hero had two options in front of him, or two hypotheses for a problem. Basically what he could do is he could immediately call his superiors and discuss a retaliation strategy. However, he knew that if he spoke to his superiors, the matter would go out of his hands, and even the military command would have very less time to react, and this would ultimately lead to a full-fledged nuclear war. And you know what happens if there is a full-fledged nuclear war. On the other hand, if he does not do anything and if he concludes that if these he was a little skeptical about the system, so if he classifies this information as inaccurate, then he is putting his entire countrymen, his own men, under risk. Think about it for a moment. What would you do if you were in such a situation? So after thinking clearly, right, Petrov took some time. He thought very clearly, and then he decided that the warning is inaccurate, and he broke the military protocol. He did not inform his superiors. Petrov knew that he's going to land in trouble. He was sure of that. Rather, what he did smartly was he called the duty officer at the military headquarters and he reported a system malfunction. All his subordinates were shocked because he was breaking the military protocol. And furthermore, now Petrov had to wait for the next 15 minutes to validate his decision, because if he was wrong in 15 minutes, uh, there would be a nuclear blast. These probably were the most stressful 15 minutes of Petrov's life. But fortunately, at the end of 15 minutes, he got some relief because there was no blast and his decision was right. What had really happened was there was a bug in these early missile warning systems, which misunderstood the rare reflections of sunlight on top of the clouds as missiles. And think what the coders and scientists who developed this were embarrassed because of this incident, and they had to go ahead and fix this. If you ask me what happened to the hero, uh, initially he was praised by his superiors, but ultimately, he was made a scapegoat. There were a lot of enquiries on him. He was pushed for early retirement. He was then reduced to growing potatoes for a living. This incident came out only in 1998, and at probably at the end of his life, he was recognized by UN, and he was also awarded by the West. He became popular as the man who saved the world. But coming back to our discussion, critical thinking is the ability to think clearly and rationally. Critical thinking is the art of thinking about your own approach to thinking. So let us try to understand the approach of thinking of our hero and see what lessons can we learn from that. So to think differently, you need to think deliberately. How often do you think deliberately? How often do you think with intent, with purpose, with vigor? You may say I do it all the time, but that's not true, because we make thousands of decisions on a day to day basis. We make hundreds of choices, so you cannot be deliberate on each and every decision or choice that you make, right? So uh, our brain can only deal with a reasonable amount of complexity. Our word is really complex. We do not know how our bodies work, or even how our emotions work. So to think deliberately, we need to think by using patterns. There are some time tested and and some tools to critical thinking, which is called as mental models. So to think deliberately, we need to use mental models. So you can ask me, what is this mental model? A mental model is simply a person's understanding of how something works. It's a mental shortcut to approach a problem. These are critical thinking tools which can help you to cut through complexity and understand the complex world around you. So think about your brain as a smartphone, okay? And then these mental models are like apps that you can install in your smartphone to solve a particular problem. By intentionally using mental models for critical decisions, you can become a good decision maker. So that's what mental models are. Petrov's thinking can be attributed to a mental model called as Occam's razor. It is a philosophical razor which helps you to eliminate unlikely explanations for a problem. Let me explain. So, Occam's razor basically tells that entities should not be multiplied without necessity. In simpler terms, Occam's razor says the simplest explanation is often the correct one. I like the refined version of the Occam's razor, which says the explanation that makes fewer assumptions and is based on evidence is often the correct one. Remember, mental models are fallible. They can work, they may not. However, they are still very useful to make satisfactory decisions or to make rapid decision making when you have limited information and when you have limited time. Okay. So coming back to the story, okay, one more thing. So Occam's razor is a very powerful mental model. These are used by doctors to diagnose illness of patients. These are used by cops and detectives to deduce the likely suspects in a criminal case. This mental model was used by some of the great scientists like Isaac Newton, Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking to develop scientific theories. So let us also learn a little bit about this powerful mental model. So our hero had two choices. One is he can classify that the warning is inaccurate, and he can discuss with his superiors to retaliate. The other was to classify this information as inaccurate and not inform his superiors. What Occam's razor says is, when you are confronted with multiple competing hypotheses for the same problem, choose the one which is simpler. Number two, makes fewer assumptions, and three, should be based on some evidence or inference. So our hero was always skeptical about these systems. Our hero knew that these systems were developed in a haste. So the United States was the first to develop these early missile detection systems. So Russia had to kind of compete with them. They developed these systems in a hurry, just like we do these days, right? We start prioritizing speed over quality, which may end up with problems. So it was a similar case, right? To keep up with the competition, the systems were developed in a haste. And furthermore, Petrov also felt that if the United States had to launch a nuclear war, right, they would not just launch 5 nuclear missiles, but rather they would go full out and not give any time to the Soviet to retaliate or to counterstrike, right? So to choose hypothesis two, our hero had to just make one assumption, that is, the warnings are inaccurate or the system is inaccurate. But to say that the United States has launched a nuclear attack, our hero had to do a lot of assumptions which could not be like validated, and there was no evidence as well. Let us try applying it to some of simple scenarios so that we kind of get a hang of Occam's razor. Let's assume that you see a bright light flash through your curtains. What do you think it is? You get two possibilities in your mind. One is it was a flash of lightning. Two, it was a UFO. You'd say obviously it was a flash of lightning. But how did you come to that conclusion? Because you know that to say it was a flash of lightning, you just have to make one assumption that there is a storm outside or it's gonna rain outside. One more example. Let's assume you have a bad headache and you search internet for the information about your symptoms. Two possible explanations come up. One says that you are dehydrated, second says that you have cancer. These days, you Google anything or any symptom, it ultimately says that you have cancer. But anyway, so by using Occam's razor, you would say you are dehydrated. However, there is also a possibility that you may have cancer, right? There are both are possible. But what you need to understand is if you have a headache, probably drink water first and then probably have a full body scan, right? So start with the simplest explanation first and then move on to a more a more complex explanation which makes much more assumptions. So in for doctors, they actually train them that if you hear hoof beats, think horses, not zebras. So let's say if you have fever and let's say sore throat, probably they will treat you for strep throat first. Then eventually, if it does not work out, then they may start treating you for viral infection and then maybe autoimmune disease or something like that. So Occam's razor is not just saying that simplest explanation is always right. Occam's razor says that when you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. This is by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes. So when you remove the explanations or hypotheses that make a lot of assumptions, you will remain with the hypothesis that should be true. This is a realistic example from my office. Uh, we used a third-party email editor in our application, and it suddenly stopped loading. We had made no releases in the last 15 days. So as a tester, I wanted to investigate what happened and I wanted to report it because this was a issue in production. So there were three others with me in the room. One person said that somebody should have hacked into our system and introduced this bug. We had a kind of data breach last month. Probably that's the case. There was another person in the room who said that this might be because there should be a sudden spike in traffic. We should replicate it by conducting a load test in our staging environment. The third person in the room said that I have read their release notes. They have recently released an update. They released an update last night. And he said that might have caused the issue. So by using Occam's razor, I started with the explanation 3 for debugging. And that ended up to be the real cause. Again, explanation 2 and 3 are possible, but by starting with explanation 3, it helped me to save time, costs, efforts, and also it saves you from a lot of mental stress, right? So you save a lot, you go a long way by starting with the simplest explanation first. And it was also based on some evidence as well. That's what you can note here. So the essence of Occam's razor is, it says that, Occam's razor prefers simplicity over complexity until proven otherwise. So whether it is your test cases, your test plans, or your choice of automation tools, so prefer simplicity over complexity, because simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So I have barely scratched the surface with mental models. Probably I have installed one application called Occam's Razor in your smartphone, but there are many more such mental models. There are hundreds of mental models. Some of the smartest people that we know on the planet, from the likes of Elon Musk to Jeff Bezos, whether it is Charlie Munger or Warren Buffett, these people advocate that, these people in fact use mental models, and they say that you need to have a collection or a lattice work of mental models to make sense of world around you, to make good decisions and see success in your life. The next steps is, I would I would want to share some resources. You can look at the book The Great Mental Models. I've also written a few blogs about mental models and how you can apply them in software testing. I'll be sharing these slides with you. You can go back and refer to this content anytime. Furthermore, I had also conducted a webinar with QA Touch a couple of years back, in which I spoke about why we think the way we think. I spoke about biases and how they affect software testing. I also spoke how heuristics can be used to generate quick ideas. Think of this as a prequel or even a sequel to this talk, and please do refer to it. I am sure you will like this talk as well. I want to conclude by saying that mental models give you superpowers. Mental models make you super thinkers, right? They help you to make better decisions, and they make you to be, they in fact uh, help you to become better thinkers in long term. So whenever you're making important decisions, start applying mental models deliberately. Start applying them to day situations and day-to-day problems. So let us take that first step towards becoming intentional thinkers. Change the way you think, change, and you can change your life. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Please do connect with me uh, on LinkedIn, and also please do subscribe to my content on my website. Thank you so much. I can take some questions if there's time.
Hey Prashant, so that was like an awesome session. Like, first let me tell you something honestly, like you are a very good storyteller. Like the way you said about entire things, that the initial things about military, about finding a nuclear weapon and things like that was so awesome. And like I was like just sitting over here and listening to the story. See, this is kind of a skill that we need as a tester mainly. Like thinking at the same time, we need to like communicate with others, we need to express our ideas. So the better way to do these kinds of things are like through a way of storytelling. And I'm really so grateful to hear a wonderful story. So let's
Thank
see
you
if
so
we
much.
have any questions or not. Just a moment, let me check the chat box.
I see one from Gunesh. What is your favorite mental model? So Gunesh, by I mean I have a lot of I refer to a lot of mental models, but my personal favorite is something called as the 80-20 rule, uh,
Mm,
which you can look up to. Basically, it says that, if you do, let's say, 100 tasks, maybe those 20 tasks are the one which give you a lot of success. So by choosing those 20% and working on them, probably will give you a lot more outcome than those 80. So 80-20 rule is my personal favorite, to be honest.
true. Even I have all the 80-20 rule in savings and finance. Like 80% we have to save and 20% we have to spend. So yeah, it's completely relatable to each and every kind of thing. So any more questions you have, guys, like being online? Like, do you have any questions? You can either chat over So this has actually been streamed over YouTube and LinkedIn on
Awesome.
simultaneous basis. So if you have any questions, you can either comment in the
Sure.
YouTube, or you can do anything.
You
So in
can
case
also
after,
share. Yeah, you can also share the list of questions with me. Maybe I can also,
yeah, that would
uh,
be much better, because right now people are like listening to the session. So in case if you have any questions, you can directly write to us at info@creatouch.com. We'll be so happy to assist you with. So Prashant will be the person who will be answering all the sessions and questions and things like that. So Prashant, that was
thank you so
really
much.
wonderful. First of all, personally speaking, happy Global Testers Day. Like this is bottom of from my heart, and thank you so much for being a part of this QATH community. Thank you so much, Prashant.
Thank you so much.
See ya.
Thank you,
Take care.
everyone. See you.
So guys, that was a really an awesome session. Like we are so thrilled to hear the concept of think like a tester. So thinking is something which we need. So so usually speaking, we all hear a tester should be a person who need to find the bugs, who need to be in a position to hunt for the bugs or things like that. But like after having this kind of quality talks with this kind of experts and this kind of keynote speakers, we can like directly conclude that like bug hunting is not at all the talent that we need for testers. Like first of all, the main thing is thinking. Like we have to think. For example, without thinking we'll not be in a position to do anything. So let's think and make decision. So next we have a very like a famous person to throw some wisdom to you. And like he's known as automation panda. Like he's known as Pandy and automation panda. And and like he was so kind enough to get in touch with us for a Saturday's event. Like even though it's a Saturday, he found his schedule to be working with QA Touch, and like he was completely happy to be a speaker for QA Touch Global Testers Day 2023. So what I'm going to do is like let me introduce you to Andrew Knight. So just so hey Andy, how are you?
Doing well. How are you, Sarath?
I'm good, bro. Thank you so much for asking me, Andy. And first of all, thank you so much for being a part of this on being a Saturday. Like I was like so excited. I'm just super excited to be. So the pod is completely yours, Andy. So you can just start with anything. Thank you.
Alrighty. Let me share my screen. Let's hope the screen actually shares. Okay. Boop, boop. Can everyone see the slides? There we go. I see it. Alrighty, happy Global Testers Day, everyone. My name is Andy Knight. I am the Automation Panda. Most recently, I was the Principal Developer Advocate at Apple Tools, as well as Director of Test Automation University. But about a month ago, I took a new job. I am now the Principal Architect at a small company in my home city of Raleigh called Cycle Labs, where we develop an excellent test automation platform for supply chain and warehouse management systems. So really cool new opportunity for me. A little bit of a switch. You may have seen that on Twitter or LinkedIn. If not, I've got a whole video about the new job. Anyway, we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Playwright. Playwright is an awesome new web test framework from Microsoft. I'm a Playwright ambassador. I love this thing. I've been using it for about 2 years now. I think it is freaking awesome. So let's talk about awesome web testing with Playwright today. I'm going to introduce Playwright with some words and slides, and then we're going to jump into code. I'm going to share this link for the code now so that you can just have it ready when you want. It's a github.com/my account automation panda /awesome web testing playwright. You can scan the QR code, get it there as well. This repository actually contains a full tutorial. I'm only going to be showing a little bit of the code today, but if you really want to get your hands dirty with it, take the full tutorial instructions in this repository. I hope you won't regret it. All right, big question. Who likes to find problems in their code? Feel free to answer in the chat. It's not necessarily meant to be a rhetorical question. Some people will be like, no, I don't want to find problems in my code. Me, actually, I do want to find problems in my code because if there are problems there, I would rather know about them than not. Because ultimately, would you rather ship those bugs to production? No, that's bad. I mean, problems happen. We live in a broken world. It's terrible. I know. We all make mistakes. It's okay. thing is we need to catch these problems as soon as possible. We don't want them to slip out to prod, hit customers, bring down whole system. That'd be very, very, very bad. So we know problems exist. We know we ought to catch them. But who actually wants to create the test for that feedback? Ooh, I mean, I would assume there's lots of testers in this call today. So yeah, I mean, maybe testers would like to, but not everybody does. I'm not trying to do an us versus them thing, but it takes a lot of work to do testing. Am I right? It's not easy. It's a lot of work. And so after you've taken the time to build a thing, that have to go test the thing is like double work. It's not always something that people want. People want feedback, but they don't necessarily want to do the extra effort of testing. So, and I think that's because testing is hard. I said what I said. Testing is hard. What challenges have you all faced with testing that make it hard? Feel free to pop them in the chat. I'd be curious to see what some people said. I found problems every single time, Leonardo. I understand. Here are some problems that I have found from my own personal experience. I have found that a lot of time tests are slow, especially your integration or end-to-end level tests. Tests can be very brittle if they're interacting with live systems under test versus just being unit tests. Tests can be flaky. There's race conditions that are poorly handled, or the systems under test have unexpected behaviors. Another pain point for me is when I'm joining a new project, the tests don't always make sense. Like I read some of these scenarios, I'm just like, where did you people learn to write things? Oh my gosh. Especially if they're long and complicated, it goes over my head. You know, from a business standpoint, tests don't make money. A hard fact, but testing is a risk mitigation activity, not a revenue generating activity. And so it can be hard for business leaders to justify putting resources towards testing versus putting resources towards new features. Am I right? That whole tech debt thing. Yeah. And ultimately, when you're working on software development, testing requires changing your mental context, right? If you're a developer and you're building the thing, when you come over to start testing a thing, it's a mental shift, right? You have to start thinking about things in different ways, and that's not always comfortable. That's not always easy, and so that makes it hard. Now, these aren't the only problems there are with testing. I'm sure there's others. These are just ones that I have personally felt myself. So feel free to keep popping things in the chat. So I'm curious to hear what y'all say. One way that we have tried to mitigate these pain points with testing is having a what we call the test pyramid, right? A strategy for the kinds of tests we should write. Now, love it or hate it, pyramid is what it is. It's ingrained. I mean, but I'm not here to support or fight the pyramid. What I'm trying to do right now is kind of explain why the pyramid is shaped the way it is, for better or worse. The thought historically has been that small bite-sized atomic tests close to code are at the bottom of the pyramid because you want more of those kinds of tests. They're easier, they're safer, they're faster, they have all the benefits of the goodness of testing. And so we want to focus on those kinds of tests mostly. And the more you go up the pyramid, the further away you get from the code, the larger your tests are, the riskier the tests are for things like flakiness and not being able to pinpoint certain issues. And so while those tests are important, they have been deemed as not as important. You should be doing fewer of those, right? And so a lot of teams will be like, yeah, unit tests and component tests, we got that. Maybe you'll have some API tests, but UI tests have kind of been labeled as bad because they're big and they're complicated and they're slow and they break a lot. And that's kind of how we framed our worldview with testing, which is really unfortunate because it's not that any one kind of test is better than another. It's more that we need to mitigate risk at different levels and layers of our applications and our software that we're developing. And UI tests are very, very useful because they actually test the applications or the systems as a user would. It brings all the things together in like an end-to-end kind of sense. And so we shouldn't be thinking about these things as bad. Rather, we need to be rethinking our whole approach to testing techniques. And so I think it's time that we reassess what our testing goals should be for modern software development. And so I have 3 points that I want to challenge you all on. 3 kinds of goals I think that we should have. Number one, we should focus on building fast feedback loops rather than certain types of tests. To me, the kind of test you write doesn't really matter. I don't care if it's unit, API, UI, command line, whatever, right? What matters more is that we want whatever kinds of feedback loops we're building to be fast, right? We want to make sure that we are putting feedback loops on the most valuable behaviors, whatever they may be. And we just want those feedback loops to be as fast as possible, right? The faster we get information back, the easier and quicker we can pivot when we find issues, right? So I don't think we should be putting percentages to certain types of tests. Focus on fast feedback loops. Secondly, make test development as fast and painless as possible, right? It shouldn't take weeks to months to develop a test framework so you can write a few test cases, right? Testing, like I said, does not generate revenue for your business. It is a risk mitigation activity. And so we should be doing just enough of it to make sure we mitigate the business risks satisfactorily. And so we need to spend as little time as possible doing tests. Not to say testing is unimportant, but rather we need to be spending time on other things. And so if we can make our test development fast and quick and easy, then we can get more testing done in less time. And then third modern testing goal, we should choose test tooling that naturally complements developer workflows, right? That gets to the whole mental context switching issue, right? If we can make it easy to automate tests and we can use the same tooling, we can make it more efficient. Therefore, we can get more done in less time. And this is where I think Playwright as a modern test framework can really help us. As I said before, Playwright is a relatively new open source web test framework from Microsoft. The way it works is it manipulates the browser via super fast debug protocols. It's kind of like going in the back door of the browser. This is much faster than Selenium that uses the WebDriver protocol and Cypress, which uses in-browser JavaScript. Playwright can work with all the major browser projects, so Chromium, Firefox, and WebKit. One thing that Playwright does is it doesn't necessarily work with the big browsers. So you're using Chromium instead of Google Chrome or WebKit instead of Apple Safari. There's a small risk of certain behaviors might not be captured, but it's very, very small. I've never hit any issues myself. I've only ever seen like one article about one time there was some weird caching thing in Safari that wouldn't have been caught by this. Very, very, very fringe. Nevertheless, you can test on Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge with browser channels. I personally like Playwright because it is a modern, feature-rich framework. It's not just a browser engine. It is, or a browser automation engine. It is a full-fledged testing framework. So it provides things like automatic waiting. There's a UI mode. You can generate tests. Look up locators, full trace. Everything is baked in. It also can test APIs as well as web UIs. And it has bindings for multiple programming languages. Now, unlike Cypress, that's just stuck with JavaScript, Playwright you can use in JavaScript, Python, Java, and C#. And of course, with JavaScript, TypeScript as well, which is recommended. And I'll be showing TypeScript today. How Playwright handles its browsers is also a little bit different from some of the other tools. If you're familiar with Selenium WebDriver, you'll know that the recommended practice is usually one browser session per test. So that at the start of a test, you launch the WebDriver instance, it launches a new browser instance, you run your test at the end, you quit the browser, shuts everything down. And then if you've done that, you also know that that has a bit of a performance hit, right? It takes a few seconds for the browser to come up. It takes a few seconds to cleanly shut it down. You want to have only one browser session per test for test case independence, because those things live long. Scary things can happen. Or if you're in a distributed environment like a Selenium Grid or some sort of browser WebDriver scale browser platform like Sauce Labs, Browser, Stack, Lambda Test, all those, you're stuck with one anyway, or one per test anyway. But like I said, that creates a lot of test execution overhead, a lot of arguably wasted time. That's just automation concern. Playwright is much more optimized. With Playwright, there is one browser instance for the entire test, just one. Now you might be thinking, wouldn't that violate test case independence? No, because every test gets a browser context from that one instance. A browser context is kind of like an incognito session. It's got private storage, private cookies, all that, all the stuff that would be private for basically like one incognito session. And contexts are lightning quick to create and destroy. So you don't have that multi-second overhead of start up the browser, shut down the browser, or the whole memory footprint that goes with it. And so you can have multiple contexts in parallel at the same time with only one browser instance. And that's how Playwright's able to be so fast. Within every browser context, you can have one-to-many pages. And the page is through the mechanism through which Playwright manipulates a page in a browser. So most testing, you'll only ever need one context and one page per test. But if you needed multiple pages per test, you could have that. For example, if you click a link and it opens up a new tab, you might have 2 pages like that. So pretty cool optimization with Playwright there. Right now, the big 3 browser automation tools are Selenium, Cypress, Playwright. You may have used some of these before. Historically, I've used a lot of Selenium and a little bit of Cypress. There are key differences in how these projects are run, who's backing them, and how they manipulate the browser. It's not to say any one tool is better than the other. It's more of choose the best tool for your needs. Personally, I think Playwright is excellent. For the kinds of projects that I'm working on, Playwright makes the most sense. So, but you know, that's not necessarily a universal take. So do the research. Feel free to ask questions if you're not sure which one to pick. It's all good. So with that being said, let's flip over and look at some code. As I said before, all the code is in GitHub. You can have, not only is there example code out here for Playwright, but in this tutorial folder, you'll see full instructions if you want to take this as a self-guided course. It'll probably take you a couple hours to finish max, but definitely give that a try. I'm going to walk through this in Visual Studio Code. Oh, I see a quick question. We also use Selenium Grid. Can we use Playwright with it? Technically, yes. You can use Playwright with Selenium Grid. There's a page on their docs that explain how to do that. However, I will recommend that's not the ideal case. You probably want to set up your own kind of scale out architecture if you're using Playwright at scale, just because there would be inefficiencies with Selenium Grid. I should also mention that Microsoft has recently released a new Azure service for scaling Playwright test execution. So definitely check that out. That's like hot off the press only about a week or 2 ago. Really, really cool stuff. Okay, so rather than jump directly into code, what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch Playwright's UI mode. np. Oh, someone asked, can you drop the link here for the repo? Let me do that real quick. That's a good idea. Boom. Bam. There you go. Ta-da. Okay, back to the code. So I'm going to I'm going to launch Playwright in UI mode. All the project I'm sharing today is written in TypeScript. A lot of times I do it in Python because if you know me, you know I'm a Python guy. But this one is TypeScript. TypeScript is the most popular binding for Playwright by far. Anyway, I'm going to launch the project in UI mode. And what we'll see is a window pop up here. Now I'm hoping the text isn't too small for sharing the screen here. But ultimately, there's this window. It's kind of like the Cypress window if you've used Cypress before. On the left sidebar, you see all of the tests in my project. So the basic tests that, well, if you were to create a new Playwright project from the command line, out of the box, it gives you some demo tests. One of them are the example tests. And so here I'm going to click these tests, this example spec TS. You can see down in the source window, you can actually see the Playwright test code. We'll step through what this means in a moment. In the main area, it's just got an empty browser window. This will show the trace as well as the timeline. I'm going to play or run these example spec tests. Now, you didn't necessarily see the window pop up, right? Because it was just so fast. It took not even 1 second for each of these. But if I click this one, example test has title, you can see there's a full trace of the steps. So in a before hooks, it calls Playwright GoTo, loads a web page, which happens to be the Playwright homepage. And there's an assertion performed. Expect the page to have the title given by whatever it is. Oops. No, they're the before hooks. Sorry, fixtures. These are the main actions. After hooks, cleanup. You can see there's another trace here. Go to locator click, expect to have URL. And you can see a visual trace as well as a logging trace is captured for every single step here. You can even have the timeline for when the test runs, loading the browser, loading the page, checking things. So this is what UI mode empowers for you. It's really cool. We can do more tests. So there was a demo to do app. We can play those tests. Oh, shoot, I don't want to play all of them. I only want to. Yeah, okay, sorry. Let me try that again. Should only play these. I don't want to play all of them. So there were, as you can see, several tests here. And I mean, I'm guessing there's probably over a dozen tests. And you can see how quickly it ran all of these. Like within just a couple seconds, all of these ran. And if I were to go there, you can see it actually did run all of these to-do tests. That's pretty sweet. So I'm going to close UI mode. Let's dig into some of the code here. I like the Playwright code because I feel like it flows very naturally. Here was that example test where it was just loading a page and checking things. Let's look at this test because I think it's a bit more interesting. Underneath the hood, it uses a core test framework kind of like Jest or Mocha. If you've seen in JavaScript to describe it should pattern, it's basically what's going on here. So you'll see you import your test and expect functions from Playwright. You define a test using the test function, descriptive name, test the get started link. All testing in TypeScript is done async. So we will inject the page via fixture. Playwright basically behind the scenes automatically launches the browser, pulls a page context and creates a browser context and creates a page in that context. And all your interactions are going to be done through the page. So because it's async, you see the await async stuff. So go to the page, page.goto. To click something on the page, we have to use locators. So page.getByRole. GetByRole is a special locator where you're providing, it's a link role with the name getting started. It's a little bit better than like an XPath or CSS selector. If we really wanted to, we could say something like await page.getByText, and say something like get started. We could do something like that. We could do something like get by a test ID if we had test IDs put on the page, or we could just say straight up page locator. I don't know, and put like X path equals whatever. Right? You can use the locator method as well. It's all good. So anyway, we get the we create a locator for the desired element. Then we call the interaction on that element. So here we want to click whatever this button is or this link is. There's a bunch of interactions. If you're using VS Code, then you can see control space, all of the methods that you can do. You can check status of things like is it enabled, is it hidden. You can you can clear it, you can click it. Pretty much anything you can do with the browser, it's possible. The nice thing is that you don't have to explicitly wait for anything. Playwright will, by default, wait for up to 5 seconds for the thing to be ready before you interact. That's why this is not an element, this is a locator, and it uses the locator object to smartly fetch that element once it's ready. Finally, we have assertions. The assertions are done through the expect function. We're expecting something to be true of the page, so expect the page to have a URL. So we're checking part of the URL. You can also check the page to have a title. You can also expect things to be true of elements on the page. So you can say like, oh wait, expect page.locator, I don't know, whatever, to have text or to be visible. Oops. You can see all the different assertions available to you for Playwright. So there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do. If you want to see those more interesting tests, the ones that are a bit more complicated, I shouldn't say complicated, a bit more complex. Here we can go to the demo to-do app, describe your new to-do. Test should allow me to add to-do items, should clear. You can see how the code it's bulkier here because it's doing some more serious testing. You can see there's other kinds of things like filling text, pressing keys, expecting things to be true by giving a list of text values versus just an individual one. And anything you can do with testing, you do with Playwright. Now, I only have half an hour. My time is almost up here. So I'm going to pause here. If you want to learn more, definitely check out the full tutorial. There's actually a Trello-like app you will run locally on your machine and write tests against that. I'm showing that here. I don't have enough time to show that today. That's okay. So let me stop, move over to the chat. Let's see if we have any questions. Aaron, preach. Yes, this information is so good. I wonder if people are taking notes. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. David, Olola, could we have alias to replace the await? Too repetitive. I understand the issue of like constantly typing the await command. If you've done JavaScript async programming before, this is just par for the course. There's no alias to get rid of it, at least as far as I know. These are keywords in JavaScript and TypeScript. So you're stuck in the async await kind of thing. Ganesh, I have a generic question. Can we measure application code coverage using end-to-end UI cases? I know it's not ideal, but yeah. So technically, there are ways and means to do that. What you have to do is you have to instrument your application code. So depending on what it is, if it's like, web app or desktop, you're going to have to instrument the code, the system under test's code such that it can gather, trace, or whatever. Put that in place. Then you run your tests, you gather that data, and then you analyze it. It's not as straightforward as say like unit testing, because unit testing, you have direct access to the code. So, I mean, that's why most unit test frameworks work hand in hand with code coverage, because they have access to the code. They're right there. And it's a bit more complicated because then it's also like, what are you testing? Are you testing some distributed architecture with like an event bus, microservices and all? Is it just a monolithic web application? How you will go about depends on what you're trying to check. So cool. Any other questions? I don't see any in the chat. So, oh, I see one. Okay. Sohi, in one of your slides, you mentioned Playwright tests UI and API tests together, and that's one of the advantages over its competitors. Could you please throw some light there? Yes, absolutely. So um, Playwright has full API support built in, right? In fact, if we look at those other tests I'd mentioned, the Trello-like tests, again, take the tutorial if you want to see those. I have a quick example where in my test that I'm describing for the Trello-like board, before each test, I am calling an API to create a new board in that application so tests can use that board. It's not, this doesn't necessarily test the API, but rather uses the API to prepare test data for the UI tests. You can see right here, it's an HTTP post, goes to localhost on this port with this resource path and giving data. You could use it for testing, like actually targeting tests for the APIs as well. It's all a matter of what you want to do. Fun session. Thank you, Prashant. Leonardo, Andrew, do you think that Playwright is a good tool for developers make unit and component testing of their code? We have lazy developers too. So Playwright is not necessarily a unit testing framework, right? Playwright is meant to be testing APIs and UIs, which are inherently black box, which means they're going to be at the integration or end-to-end levels. But you can use Playwright for component testing, which is kind of like a UI unit testing, I suppose. There is experimental support for component testing in Playwright. I simply don't have a component library handy that I could demo that, but you can go to the Playwright docs, look up component testing, you can read how to set it up. It works for the frameworks like React and Vue and all the major ones. Cool. Any final questions? I don't want to use up too much time. Okay, so I don't see any other questions. So I want to say, hey, everybody, thank you for joining my session. Really appreciate it. Hope you all learned a lot.
Hello. Hey, Andy, thank you so much. So that was a fantastic, fabulous, like testing is hard. Like that's a truth. Testing is hard and it will make us cry, to be honest. And the way you explained the playwright with repo, I actually bookmarked your URL for my upcoming research for the QA touch.
Nice.
So I'll be like reaching out to you with more doubts on playwrights and the implementation and the duplication, replication, and things like that. So this was a wonderful session, and more than a session, this was actually a true class lecture. Like I have attended your other tutorials, so it was completely similar to those tutorials, like where you explained each and every kind of things of playwright from the basics to the core levels. So thank you so much, Andy. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time which you have spent with us. Really, really awesome to be working with you, Andy. Thanks a lot. Have a
No
great day.
problem. Thank you. Appreciate the
Awesome.
invitation.
Awesome. Bye bye, Andy.
Bye.
So, like before we move on to the next person, like the next keynote speaker, I have something exciting to you. Like customers are our true like stakeholders, right? Like we cannot live without a customer. So we are actually a community-based tool platform where we actually specialize on freemium users. So rather than even if you are a professional plan user or startup user, we give the same level of each and every kind of same level of respect to the freemium at the same time to the professional people. So next what I'm going to show you is I would like to uh, take 2 minutes of your time just to stream our one of your testimonial that we have received from Zero. So let's move on to the testimonial. Let's give me a moment. Yes,
We came into being
just
on
let me know.
2007. Our corporate office is at Cochin and we have expanded to USA and Middle East. We mainly focus on software development services. We have almost 100 plus employees here and our team consists of like .NET team, PHP, QA team and mobile development, Odoo, etc. Web design and also. Actually, we came to know about QA by word of mouth.
QA is the most economical test management solution with the outstanding feature.
Pleasing facility of QATouch is the integration. We can integrate other tools and platforms to QATouch. Because of that, we can easily synchronize our testing activities to different kinds of development and project management process.
UI of the QATouch is more simple and easy to use, while compared to the other platform, it has a most beautifully icon and menu.
We used a free open source service before, but that was really outdated and we didn't get any support from their team. So after moving to QA we get prompt support from the team and answers to our questions and problems.
We use QATouch to prepare test cases. The import capability of QATouch is very easy and very simple. Now we transfer all of our test cases into QATouch.
So yes, guys. So that was just a quick note on like how clients react to QA Touch, the tool, which is actually a free test case management tool. So if you have any kind of requirements required, just feel free to explore the tool. It's completely free, of course. So I'm not taking your time. So just move on to the next person. Like this actually, so invite this person actually brings a smile to my face. Like he is actually known as Sri Narayan Jha, and he's a lead QA from Anata. And like I would like to call him Shri because like even though I haven't met him personally, like the way he treats, the way he communicates, the way he treat the community is like completely different. Like uh, we'll be so much what to say we'll find it so friendly with him to talk. And like even if it's in a call or if it's a texting and all, he's spontaneous and he's a person with whom I can go to. So hello Shri, how are you?
Hey, Sorat. Yeah, it's a pleasant evening here in India, and thanks for this opportunity. So,
So how's your weekend going? I know it's a weekend and I just pulled you out of the weekend.
yeah, I was eagerly waiting for this session because, yeah, I was looking up to other speakers and learning from them. All right, and on Global Global Testers Day, it is widely, yeah. So,
And guys, I would just give a shout out. Like Anata is one of our community users. Like they are using QA Touch for around like a year or so, and he is our community user. Like he uses QA Touch, so that's the main reason why I just thought of reaching out to you. And first of all, thank you so much for Bhavani, like my reporting manager. So so she was a person to ask me to, okay, sure, there is a person who like to speak for Global Testers Day, then why can't you try Shri? Then I've just reached out to him instantly and he was like, okay, fine, just block my calendar. So Shri, the pod is all yours. The people are waiting for your wisdom, so let's start.
yeah, so let me
Do you
stream. Uh, Hello, am I audible? Hi.
you are audible, Shri? Yes.
Okay. Sorry for the glitch, and thanks for yeah, estimating for me. So first of all, I will go with the congratulations to Prasant for an awesome storytelling and the way he narrated the story, how critical a bug can be, and the patience which requires to take a decision should be every QA should inculcate in their day-to-day life, So that bug was really that critical that it would have been wiped out the entire humanity, and we would not have been here speaking about it, you know. So yeah, thanks for the awesome session, Prasant and Andrew. So it was really insightful, very well explained, and it's like a true ambassador of a playwright. So well done. Let's come with my part now. So wherever you are. Good morning, evening, and good afternoon as well. So, I'm delighted to offer my warmest greetings and express my gratitude for your presence here. I'm deeply appreciative of TCCAP for extending OKUTouch, extending the invitation to be a speaker on this global platform and allowing me to engage with the brilliant minds. My name is Srinarayan. All, Although my colleague, friends, and fellow QA practitioners call me as a Sri, I proudly hold the role of QA lead at Anata and actively contribute in shaping Anata's philosophy regarding quality. My career path has led me through various roles, including developer, QA analyst, test management consultant, product owner for e-commerce tool, and a part-time project manager as well. Furthermore, I have uh, dedicated my efforts to empower several QA practitioners by guiding them through coaching and consistent mentoring sessions, consequently elevating their skills and productivity. I'm a huge advocate of getting testing practices the recognition it deserves. In my everyday life, I seamlessly integrate the principle of anatta or anatman, a keen to rhythmic act of the breathing. Outside work, I cherish and devote my quality time with my family, particularly my boys, and immerse myself into world of books through reading. During our conversation, mostly casual, you will often hear me use the word peace and sweet. That serves as a philosophy of my life. So that was all about uh, me as a QA, as an individual. So let's uh, see the glance of the topic today. I would like to delve into advancement of software testing with the hope that it will be a valuable and worthwhile of your time. So as you see, let's go to the table of contents, Sarat. So yeah. As you see, the following topics will be covered in today's talk. Firstly, I would like to introduce you about the software testing, then the evaluation of it, after which I would like to tell you about the advancement of software testing. We'll also look at its benefit, challenge, and future trends. Finally, I will summarize all of these with some key takeaways. So, and let's get with the introduction. I think it's safe to assume that we are all well versed with the software testing and its evolution, but I would like to throw some light on it and share my perspective with all of you. This would also help me to connect with the main topic of today's talk. So let's begin with an introduction. Software testing is the process of evaluating and verifying that a software application or system meets the specified requirement and functions correctly. The overall process helps to ensure the quality of software product by identifying the issues prior to making it available to the end users, which is quite essential, which lowers the risk of software failure and enhances the user satisfaction. Now, the evaluation. In the early days, manual testing was only approach where to validate the software's optimal functionality. Then came the period of emergence of automation testing tools, where we saw the examples of Selenium, Playwright, and others. The third phase is most of the popular called agile and continuous integration, where progressive testing integrated to development cycles, among other approaches such as shift left, shift right testings. I will explain this a little later to those who are not acquainted with these processes. QA's involvement in design and post-release monitoring begins as early as possible, although it has not stopped here. We made further enhancement that encompasses agile, shift left, shift right, and automation, known as DevOps and continuous testing. It allowed us seamless integration of testing into development pipeline. So let's dive more into the shift left and right testings. Shift left. The approach involves moving testing activities earlier in the software development lifecycle. Developers takes more responsibility of testing, and tools automated unit test case and code analysis are used extensively. So here the partnership begins, with developers as our partners. Shift right, this approach focuses on testing in production or post release environments. Testing like A B testing, canary release, and feature toggles help identify issues in real world conditions using the real world environments, mimicking that. You know. Then comes AI and machine learning in testing, which is quite famous. Most of us use these days very frequently. AI and ML are being used to enhance test automations. They can help in test case generation and test data as well, and even in identifying patterns and anomalies in production environment. So one such example is ChatGPT. You can take help of ChatGPT to generate the test cases. You know. Then comes test automation and continuous testing. Test automations continues to gain importance, especially in the context of DevOps and continuous integration and deployment. CI/CD. Tools like Selenium, Appium, Playwright, Robot Framework have become more popular. Continuous testing involves running automated tests hand in hand throughout the development lifecycle to catch issues early and ensure a smooth release process. Then comes performance engineering. Instead of just performance testing, we used to have the entire set of department for performance testing. These days, organizations are adopting more holistic approach, engineering approach. This involves analyzing and optimizing performance throughout the development lifecycle. Then comes security testing. With the increasing frequency of cyber attacks, security testing have become very crucial. Techniques like pen testing, vulnerability scanning are common, and security is often integrated into development process. API and microservices testing. As more applications are built using microservices architecture, API testings have become essential. Tools and practices for testing APIs are evolving very rapidly. So I will take a little pause here, and I understand these are quite a few, but as you know, it does not stop here. I hope you have been able to keep up with me so far, and request you to hanging there as we are just halfway through. I will be happy to take your questions at the end of my talk. Now, let's get back to it. Testing in Agile and DevOps. So these are the further advancement in Agile and DevOps methodology has transformed software development, and testing practices have adapted to it accordingly. Testing is integrated into this process with a focus on automation, collaboration, and continuous improvement. Test data management. Managing test data has become more complex as every application is now ever changing. Solutions for creating and managing test data efficiently has become point of interest for product owners and businesses. Then comes low code, no code testing. This is one of my favorite, by the way. With the rise of low code, no code development platforms, there is a growing need for testing these applications. Some tools are designed especially for these purposes. User experience testing. Beyond functional, organizations are increasingly focused on UX testing to ensure that software meets user expectations and provides a seamless experience. It is very essential these days, because user is a very, I mean, they have multiple options. So UX is very important at this point of time. Mobile and IoT, Internet of Things, basically. Testing for mobile applications and IoT devices continue to be a significant focus with specific tools and frameworks designed for these platforms. So you can see, I mean, everywhere there's I mean, automated checkout, even inside the store. So those are examples of IoTs. Here, the shift from manual to automated testing. Manual testing is still relevant and going to be further more years to come. It is nowhere going to be an obsolete. But there is a continuous shift towards automated testing due to its efficiency, reliability, you know, so and time to market, basically. Let's see through the benefits of advancement. You know, Firstly, it enhances overall efficiency by expediting the test execution and minimizing the manual intervention. So, by thus improving the efficiency. Subsequently, it encompasses a broader and more comprehensive range of testing scenarios, thereby improving the test coverage. Moreover, it contributes to high-chain accuracy and diligently following instructions, thus reducing human errors. Additionally, it contributes to cost reduction due to an increased efficiency, enhanced accuracy, and reduced testing duration. Lastly, it leads to a faster time to market and accelerates development cycles. Of course, uh, there are certain challenges in implementing these advancements. So, skill gap. Addressing the skill gap is a primary challenge since recruiting and retaining skilled testers and automation engineers can be super difficult. Selecting the most suitable tools and frameworks is a complex task due to varying opinions and board coverage areas. So we have multiple options. Choosing right from them is really complex these days. Additionally, achieving effective test data management is still challenging because there is currently no well-defined or efficient test data management system in place. Still, we are lacking a big time over there. Staying up to date with evolving technologies and methodologies through continuous learning presents a substantial challenge. Every day you have to keep yourself updated. And not to mention, safeguarding sensitive data during the testing process possesses a challenge, especially considering that the test data is shared across the multiple teams. So, for example, text cards or the gift cards. So, safeguarding sensitive data is really crucial and challenging as well. Let's see future trends in the software testing. So, we have to embrace shift left, shift right testing for more extensive early and post release testings. We should also look at utilizing AI for enhanced test case generation and analysis. We should prepare ourselves for emergence of test ops through the integration of testing into the DevOps pipeline. So we should start practicing more the test ops. We should anticipate the growing prevalence of IoT and mobile applications necessitates increased testing on these platforms and devices. We need to prioritize proactive security measures by harnessing ethical and security testings. So these are the a few future trends in software testing or advancement of it, software testing we should look for. So we are nearing to the end of this presentation. So let me walk you through the key takeaways, where I will be just summarizing of the overall presentation. So stay abreast of the advancement in the universe of software testing, acknowledge and overcome the challenges, stay relevant and attractive talent in the job market since it is rapidly changing. So being a tester, we have to stay relevant by enhancing our skill set. This is where I would like to, so yeah, Sarath, next slide, please. So this is where I would like to thank everyone for listening to me and now give you a chance to share your thought and or queries. Yeah, thank you. So open for questions. Thank you. Thank you, Mavi. You can reach out to me on the LinkedIn. I go by Sri Narayan Jha. So yeah, thank you.
So Sri, so that was so super calming, fantastic, so soothing. I feel like a lullaby. Like, oh my god, I'm like, first of all, we need to know about this advancement of software because this is the era of ChatGPT. And personally speaking, even though I'm not that person who appreciate GPTs, but still, yeah, I would like to have a hands-on on GPTs and things like that. That doesn't mean that I'm completely against ChatGPT. First of all, and plus the way you took through the each and every kind of thing was super amazing. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, Sri, for that. And thank you so much for being our valuable community users. And thank you so much for being available all the time. Like, I think I can see this. I mean, you might be taking some sessions because I can see the comments over here. Like, okay, I have met my mentor and things like that. Like, people are appreciating your mentorship. So that's really great to know. And like, guys, if you have any questions, please pop out in the chat, or in case if you have questions after the session also, she or me will be available. Like, you can directly reach out to our curator, it's info@curatouch.com, for any kind of question related to tester submit, any kind of speech sessions or things like that. So Shri, do you have any last words? Like, do you have any parting words or things like that before you leave the port?
Oh, it was awesome speaking here, and thank you for listening me. Sahanta has a question: how to select the right testing tools? Learn for a beginner in testing. So, Samantha, this is going to take really good amount of time when we speak about this. It's a vast topic, so let's connect over the LinkedIn or as quoted by Sarath on the info@cubators.com. So, yeah.
Yeah, so just do want, like, he's always available over the LinkedIn, or in case if you need any kind of a session also, we are just completely open for that. You can just coordinate with that. So you can always reach out to Sri through LinkedIn. Like, he's always available. Like, so during the business hours is completely available, and he replies back instantly, so you don't have to worry about that. So he's always reachable, and that's why I trust him. Like, oh my god, okay, so as soon as Bhavani said I need to reach out to Shri, I was like, okay, fine, I trust this man with everything, because he knows, he takes everything so calmly, so quietly. There is no hurry burry and things like that. So that's a really good quality which we need as of now. So thank you so much, Sri, for your words on wisdom on advancement in software technologies. I think many people have been benefited, and this will be rebroadcasted as a recording also. So if you're hearing it in future as well, this will help you guys in a very good manner. So thank you so much, Sri. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much. Bye bye, Sri. Take
Thank
care.
you. Thank you.
So that was a brilliant session by Sri. Like, I really loved it. So I was hearing it as like a lullaby, the way he presented, the way the entire flow was with complete complete lullaby effect. So next, like I would like to give a small shout out to our internal, like to our one of our DCK product, which is actually beneficial for HR. So like human resource people or HR are like our go-to people. Like in case if you have any special concern when it comes to like what HR policies or things like that, will directly reach out to HR. So human resource department does a very good job, and to make their process completely easy, what does like we have implemented a new software which is on a Circly, DCCAP Circly. So just it's just a shout out video for the Circly. So let's move on to the video and let's see what Circly have to say to us.
In today's rapidly changing business landscape, it's more important than ever for companies to build engaged and transparent workspaces. However, keeping employees engaged is a challenge for many businesses. Because how do we create an environment where employees feel valued, motivated, and connected to their work? That's where we come in. Zerkly is an employee engagement platform that helps businesses of all sizes build a culture of engagement and transparency. With Zerkly, you can do everything an employee engagement tool helps you do and much, much more. The HR team can share important updates, organize events, and build community. Leaders and managers can set and track OKRs, commemorate important milestones, keep an eye on their team's mental health, and celebrate the people that make up their team. Last but not least, employees can use Zerkly to engage with people in their fourth and fifth circles, share ideas, connect over interest, and recognize their peers for outstanding work. But that's not all, because Zerkly brings together people management and community building in a way no other platform or tool does. Zerkly is a master choreographer of coincidence. With everyone using the platform at least a few times a week, Zerkly creates a perfect opportunity for people to engage with the larger community. With Zerkly, businesses can create a positive work culture that fosters collaboration, innovation, and growth. By building a culture of engagement and transparency, your organization improves productivity, reduces turnover, and creates a better workplace for everyone. So, if you are looking to build a more engaged and transparent workplace, start using Zerkly today. Thank you.
So that's all about Circly. Like, and one more thing, guys. Like, as we DCCAP is actually the community user trend. Like, we follow. Like, we need to fulfill the community desire. So that's the reason why we have been. When it comes to the testing platform, the DCCAP has introduced QA Touch, and when it comes to the Zerkly platform, I mean HR platform, the DCCAP has came with the Zerkly platform where it is completely free of course. Like for the entire organization can use it. So in case if you wish to do so, you can just directly reach out to it. It's completely free of cost. And like moving on to our next agenda, like I was thinking like who to call for this session and things like that. So based on certain credentials, I finally got a person called Ajibola Oladukun. She's from Nigeria, and she's actually a testing software tester from Miaza. And like Ajibola was so happy to be a part of this QA Touch. And let me introduce you to Ajibola. Hello, Ajibola. How are you?
Hello, Sarad. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for asking, Ajibul. And finally, we met like through different. We were talking through LinkedIn, like everything. So, so how are you feeling? Are you nervous? Like, how's everything?
I'm well. I'm not too nervous. I'm excited to share my experience as a software
Lovely,
tester.
lovely.
Yes,
And listeners, like she is actually from Miaza. She's a QA testing lead. And let's hear what Ajibola has to talk about life as a full stack tester. Yes, she's a full stack
tester.
tester. So let's
Yes.
listen. So Ajibola, the pod is all yours. So just feel
Thank
free
you
to
very
call
much,
upon.
Sarah. I would like to share my screen. Uh, I would just like to confirm if my screen is visible to everybody, Sarah? Hello?
Visible, yes, it is visible, Ajibola. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Happy Global Testers Day to you all. I am Ajibola, and I work as a software test lead at my ASA. I would like to thank you, Touch, for giving me this opportunity to share my experience and my knowledge on life as a full stack tester. Today, we'll be talking about who a full stack tester is, life itself as a full stack tester, some challenges testers might face, and some tools that can really be helpful to us when it comes to testing, as well as self-development. In the ever-changing realm of technology today, as we know, innovation comes on a steady basis. We have inventions of new softwares on a daily basis, and the users, the demand for technology in our day-to-day lives has increased greatly, and our responsibilities as testers has evolved to surround not just one aspect of testing, but the entire software development process. As testers, we get involved in the entire software development process. And in this presentation, we'll be going on a journey that reveals to us the exciting opportunities, the essential skills, and various challenges that define life as a full stack tester. So who is a full stack tester? A full stack tester is a person that checks and ensures that every aspect of a software application works correctly. And every aspect of a software comprises of both the front end, which is the user interface that the user interacts with, and the back end, which serves as the behind the scenes operations for softwares, and they comprise of the servers and the database. So also the integration points between various components. The role of a full stack tester also covers manual testing. And for manual testing, as testers, you have to execute test cases, explore the application through verifying that the software's behavior actually behaves according to the requirement document that was prepared for it. The goal of software testing is to verify that the software being produced or being about to be put out functions according to what the requirement actually says it's supposed to function as. What life as a full stack tester really entails. Life as a full stack tester can be very fulfilling because as testers, you'll be involved in the various stages of the software development process. Here's a glimpse into what life as a full stack tester might actually be like. Firstly, you need to understand your role. As a tester, especially one that is full stack, your role goes beyond just regular testing. You need to envision the usage of the said software application, just like the user is going to use it. You have to think creatively for different scenarios on how the end user would be using whatever application you're working on. And to be able to do this, you as a tester needs to be conversant with the technology that you're using. For collaboration, as testers, you will work in different teams. Teams are comprised of product managers, software developers, designers, and other team members. Clear communication is very crucial in collaboration, so as to communicate the requirements, the fixes, and changes that might be on the software application per time. Test planning and strategy. As a full stack tester, you'll be involved in creating test plans and strategies that would establish how the test is going to take place, the tools that will be used for testing your software, and the environment in which this testing is going to actually take place. Test case design. As a tester, you would be involved in creating various scenarios, most especially real life scenarios where users can actually make use of this application. Our scenarios as testers should be as realistic as possible, covering different areas of whichever application you're working with. And as testers, we shouldn't always just consider positive usage scenarios. We should as well cover negative scenarios. For instance, if you were testing a banking application that decides to add a loan feature to it, first you create scenarios regarding onboarding your user from sign up to login, and furthermore to actually applying for a loan on the banking application. You have to test scenarios like what happens when a user applies for the loan with wrong credentials, with actual credentials, and in between. Front-end testing could be manual and with automation. For manual testing, as a tester, you need to be conversant with the UI, UX of whatever application, either it's a web app or a mobile application. You need to check the usability of the application. So also, you need to make sure that everything on the appearance of the software is usable and excellent, relatable to the users. You also have to check how the software functions across different devices, as well as different web browsers. Automation is crucial in today's world of software testing, and it's an added advantage. As a full stack tester, you would create test scripts to automate tests, repetitive tests, and regression tests with testing tools. We move to backend testing. Backend testing involves testing of the APIs and the data management processes. As a tester, you have to ensure that whatever request is being made at the front end by the user is being processed at the back end excellently. You have to test to make sure calling APIs go and that everything in the database management is quite functional. For integration testing, you have to test how components from the front end and the back end relate quite smoothly, most especially if you have third-party servers attached to whichever software you're working on. You have to make sure that these third-party servers actually function quite all right and give you the desired response when requests are called forth from the front end by the user. For performance testing, as testers, we should actually perform performance testing to see how whatever application you're working on performs under stress and if load is put on the application. For instance, if you're testing an e-commerce website that has a regular flow of traffic of, let's say, 2,000 users per time, you need to test for days like Black Fridays, where users could actually double or even triple on the site per time to ensure that this software doesn't crash and functions excellently. We have bug reporting and tracking. Whatever issues you find as a full stack tester, you have to document well. Clear documentation is essential because it's going to help the software developer to be able to recreate such bug, to track it, fix it, and also monitor it. Whatever report you give is how the developer is going to move ahead when he or she is trying to fix whatever issues you've brought up. Lastly, we have balancing priorities as a full stack tester. In the agile environment, priorities could change per time. And as a full stack tester, you should be flexible enough and ready to shift when priorities have shifted. For example, if you are testing another e-commerce site and you have two functionalities for that particular iteration that have to pass. For instance, you have the module of profile picture, allowing the user to actually be able to upload a profile picture. Or you have another option of an issue, a bug was found in the cart module when the user is trying to check out. We have to prioritize which one we can actually test functionally and will not affect the users using the e-commerce application. We all can relate to anybody using an e-commerce application to order something. You need to be able to check out. You need to be able to pay for whatever you've bought and check out. So prioritizing the checking out module is deciding to prioritize the checkout module is one of the skills for a full stack tester. Some challenges testers might actually face. Because QA professionals have quite important jobs, we often run into challenges in our daily works. It's quite useful to know some common problems that can be encountered on our daily activities. Firstly, we have weak interdepartmental coordination. The software development and testing process requires multiple departments being involved. And if these departments do not coordinate well, testers might end up getting incomplete softwares into the test environment, which can actually lead to repetitive testing or some tests being actually overlooked. So cooperation and coordination is a vital instrument for departments involved in the software development process. We have inflexible software testing tools next. Some software companies already have a fixed set of testing tools they would like whichever tester that comes into their company to use. This doesn't create space for the testers to be creative, and this doesn't allow testers to actually treat each software uniquely. As testers, you should be encouraged to be creative, interact with whichever tools that suits the particular test you're doing part-time, and use it to give excellent and efficient results. Missing documentation. More often than not, as testers, we don't really get full documentation before test is started. Sometimes we rely on information given to us by the developer as to what a particular software is actually supposed to do. In case you find yourself in this situation, I'd advise you meet up with every member of the team that is related to this software and get as much information as you can as to the functionalities of the software you're testing, what the software is supposed to do, and what not the software is not supposed to do. With this, you can use this to create your test cases to be able to test the app from end to end. Limited time availability. In the software development process, time is a major constraint, as when from design to development until testing, time might have been elapsed and there is already a set release date. Most of the time, test softwares get to the test environment at very limited time, and this gives pressure. This puts testers generally under a lot of pressure to test functionalities in the shortest amount of time, which would not allow testers to actually perform functional tests and all the other tests that they have to do in a limited amount of time. I'll suggest concerning limited time availability, each department involved in the software development process should be given more or less a stipulated time that they can work with so that everybody gets ample time to do everything they need to do on the software before it is released to production and further released to users. Numerous software bugs. Sometimes as testers, we receive softwares that are full of bugs because finding one bug makes another one surface, and this circle actually continues. If you find yourself in a situation like this, you could suggest or request that the developers perform unit testing so that this limits all the bugs. This finds the bugs easily and limits the amount of bugs that is released to the test environment. Because as testers, whatever little bug that we pass or omit into the production environment can be really, really expensive to sort out. Some tools that can be helpful in software testing. As a tester, there is no one size fits all when it comes to testing tools. I would suggest and recommend that you get yourself familiar with various testing tools for different purposes and use a testing tool that best fits whatever software that you're working on part time. For instance, if you're testing UIs, you could select from Catalan, Selenium, whichever software you feel most comfortable with and would suitably perform the tests you have in hand. Same also goes for API testing. There are a lot of tools that testers can actually get familiar with and tailored to whichever test you're doing at that particular time. Also for performance testing as well. Next, we have self-development. The importance of continuous learning cannot be overstated for testers because as full stack testers, staying current with the latest testing tools, industry practices, and methods is quite crucial to the ever challenging nature of the technology time that we are currently in. Technology evolves every day, and we have to try our best to keep up. When you accumulate so much experience in your testing field, you can then choose to specialize in whatever area of testing you would like, from gaming testing to mobile application testing to accessibility testing or even performance testing. This specialization can further enhance your career and open advanced job opportunities for you. In conclusion, I would say witnessing the software you've tested as a tester operate seamlessly and enhance the user satisfaction can be incredibly rewarding. Our responsibilities as testers guarantees that the final product quality is good and the dependability is good as well. Overall, as full stack testers, we should be good with technology. We should be able to adapt, communicate well, and be focused on delivering excellent results. Our role as full stack testers is quite important, and it greatly impacts the success of any software product we're working on. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can reach me up at LinkedIn. I'm very, very active on LinkedIn. Is there any questions? I'd like to answer any questions that anybody has.
So I think we have a question, Ajibola, from Leonardo.
Okay.
To
To
become a full stack.
become a full stack tester, should we learn programming languages to conduct white box testing of code? I mean, should we understand how the database, APIs, and microservices work as well as front end? Is that so?
Hmm.
My answer to this question would be you can actually decide to specify as a manual tester, which does not include much coding. But if you want to go into automation, you will need the basics of programming language to keep you ahead. You might not need to go into in-depth coding. For example, Cypress, using Cypress for web automation testing, you would need to write codes, even if it's just the basic codes. So I would advise you actually learn, put in a little effort to actually learn coding.
That's great. So I think Leonardo is okay with this. So first of all, Ajibola, this is what, personally speaking, this is what I needed. Like, to be honest, I wasn't aware about there was a separate position called full stack tester. I'm being completely honest with you. So this session
Um,
gave me a clear idea about what a front end tester and a back end tester works, and this is what we
yeah.
need actually in the current scenario. Because when we talk about testers, full stack testers is a kind of a domain where we are not talking too much all about. Like, I have seen, because it's been like it's my first time hearing the word full stack tester, and obviously there will be a lot of people like me in the society, so who needs to be ramping up their knowledge to understand what is a full stack tester and how does the challenges faced by them is completely eradicated. So the presentation was so awesome, so great, and it was like lovely to see your slides with all informations which is completely mentioned in a nutshell. And this will actually give a clarity to each and every kind of people who is actually who has started their domain as a fresher. So for example, if I'm a fresher, by looking at your session, like, I'll be in a position to understand, okay, it's a full stack tester job, so let me go for this, let me become a full stack tester. So this will motivate people to become more full stack tester, Ajibola. So once again, this was a great session. So just want to know, any of do you have any more questions, guys, like regarding the full
Um,
stack tester? You can just drop it over the chat, or in case if even after the session, if you have any doubts, you can directly reach out to me or Ajibola or QA Touch. The Ajibola is completely active in LinkedIn. Like, she actually replies back like instant, so she's always active. And she'll be able to share the resources with you as well. So in case if you need the slides also, you can directly get in touch with Ajibola. So Ajibola will be in a position to give you a very good session and a slide on that. So once again, thank you so much, Ajibola, for finding some time with us. Like, being a Saturday,
thank you for having
you
me,
just
Sarah.
no, it's our pleasure, to
Thank
be
you
honest.
so
Like,
much.
to get a profession to be speakers, to be a speaker, especially from Nigeria, and that was from Miaza. It's a very glad to host you as our speaker, and to listen to your beautiful wisdom, where you have spoken about each and every kind of things related to full stack tester. I think we have one question posted up. Can there be 100% automation possible in software applications? Do you have a
I would
question over
say
here?
you cannot 100% possible 100% automation might not be possible currently because technology advances every day. So by the time every build has a new update, you have to actually try to make sure the new update doesn't affect the previous build. So we have to enhance our automation for the new update. So automation, we have to keep up automation part-time. We cannot just decide we've 100% automated this build and we let it go. We have to review our automation policies and codes regularly.
So I think that's good for Pooja. So once again, like thank you so much, Ajibola. So if any of the viewers have any questions, we will forward it to you, so you can just have
Thank you
discussion
so
with
much
them.
for
So
having me,
thank you
sir.
so much, Ajibola. Once again,
And
namaste.
thank
Thank
you,
you so much for
QA as
being a part
well.
of QA Touch.
Thank you so
Bye bye.
much.
Take care.
Bye bye.
So that was a nice, such an amazing session from Ajibola. Like, obviously, to be honestly speaking, yes, as a new person to the testing field, yes, I learned a lot about full stack testing, about front end and back end development, and it was so glad that she even accepted to come over here to speak, even though it was a Saturday, like it's a complete weekend for them. So being we're celebrating the Global Testers Day. So without taking your time over for move on, I'd just like to give us again a small shout out. I know like this session might bore you, but to make you excited, to make you like have an adventurous trip, like we are showing you a video where again we have an another testimony from P Square Technologies. So they're actually a toll business management system. So let's hear what P Square has to say about QA Touch. Go to the video.
It is a very good product. The GUI and everything is very simple. Even a beginner can understand the menus, like all the icons are very user friendly.
I need to get all the requirements and the bugs, everything in under one tool. That is the main thing I searched, and I found a QA Touch. QA Touch providing those items for me.
Dashboard and UI are very user friendly. From this, we can understand pending test cases, executions, and etc.
Past 11 years, we are using TestLink. We all know that it is an open source tool, and it is a quite a good one. But our methodology and process is agile methodology. So we have a lot of requirements in Jira and adding bugs in Jira. So we found quite difficult to manage all that.
Lots of third-party integration tool like Jira, Jenkins, we can easily configure with them, and we can identify all the functionalities here in the QA itself. And there are lots of reporting tools also.
The support is also very good after once we mail, you can get the response early as possible.
The main difference is we can save a lot of time. We don't want to manually putting all the requirements in QA Touch. We can have able to list once it is in the Jira, it is available in the QA Touch. If the project is integrated with the Jira, that saves a lot of time. That is the main thing I found the difference, and we can get the bugs and requirements, the test case, everything in a one hand.
So that's about P Square and QA Touch. So before that, like I would like to tell one more thing, guys. Like this Global Testers Day, powered by QA Touch, has not been possible without the hands of the few upcoming names. Like the first, I would like to give a shout out to Liberator Tester, who is Gunesh Patel. Like he's so a helping person when it comes to the QA Touch community, where he actually helps us in a very good way to promote, to have a very good succession, to be in a perpetual wage and things like that. So thank you so much, Gunesh Patel, for your wonderful and brilliant effort. And if you wish to visit his profile, it's completely filled with enormous podcasts. Like you'll be loving the podcast, like that he showed, especially with the guest, the way he has around about the product is completely awesome. Thank you so much, Gunesh Patel, for being a sponsor for QA Touch Global Testers Day 2023. At the same time, I would like to announce that Comcast is one of our golden sponsor. Like they have been like our community user, like they are using QA Touch tool. At the same time, they just came out with the idea of promoting us. And at the same time, Test House Limited Company Limited is also one of our sponsors. So this event is completely possible with the help of these sponsors. Without them, this event will not be in a possible way. At the same time, I would like to give a shout out to StreamYard, which is one of the best live streaming platform. Because of them, we are live streaming, and the same live streaming will be broadcasted again as a recorded video. So in case if you want to see, the recordings also will be available at the same time. So let's move on to the next speaker, next prominent one. Like I know, like I don't want to give an introduction about this person. Like you guys might be familiar, like he has been speaking in different South Asian, at the same time specification con- uh, co- uh, conferences. And like personally speaking, yes, being a Malaysian, like my complete family, everything is completely honored to visit Malaysia. And like I would like to be a personal I would like to give a personal invitation to Ram Prasad, who was actually a person who spoken in our Global Testers Day. So when we are having an internal talking in with my public relations team, so one of my stakeholder came up with the idea, oh yeah, last year you there was an Eurasian boy who spoke for Global Submit Testers, right? I was like, yeah. So Sharad, could you just get him possible for the Testers Day? So I was like, okay, fine, let me give it a try. And I just reached out to Ram, and Ram was like, okay, fine. Even though I'm pretty much occupied with certain talks, let's do it. So that's why, like, Priscilla Bilavendran and Ram. So these two are my favorite Malaysian people because I have personal connection with Malaysia. My roots are also being from Malaysia. So being a Malaysian by myself, or being a part Malaysian by myself, I'm so glad that I'm in touch with Priscilla Bilavendran and Ram. So Ram, how are you? So nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for the awesome introduction. I really love your energy tonight. I'm
Oh
not
my
sure
god.
what time is it there, but right now it's almost 12 midnight here, and really absolutely loving the session so far. Thank you so much for having me here. And I didn't know you were part Malaysian as well, so I guess we'll be having more conversation after this offline.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
All right, all right. So
So Ram, the pod is all yours. So welcome to the show and just blast the pod.
all right. Thank you, sir. Okay, let me try to share my screen. Can you guys see my screen? Let me see that. Hi, can you guys see my screen? Because I'm not sure whether you guys can see. No.
No, the screen is not available. Do you want us to share the screen?
Let me just can I
Yeah, just
guess.
try it once again. Just click on the present over there. So there you'll be in a position to share the screen.
Yeah. Guess. Let me try again. Just give me a second.
Sure.
Okay, it's processing. I think
If you
I'm
want, then
having.
I can share it. No worries.
Yes. Just give it like a
Do
few
you
more
want?
seconds.
Sure.
Processing. Still nothing, right? Oh,
Yeah,
I think it's
it's visible now.
yes. Yeah, it's up. It's up. Okay,
Finally.
yeah. Okay. So sorry for the technical issue a bit. So thank you so much for being in the session today. So today my talk would be on QA shifters, which is a playbook for job environment dynamics. So what do I actually mean by this? This is pretty much a content which I came up with based on my own experience being in software testing industry for almost like 7 years. So it's a thing. It's a content where I always had it in my mind, and also a lot of people which I have conversations with, they sort of ask me certain questions, which I eventually saw as some sort of pattern, and I thought that hey, since a lot of people are asking about it and talking about it, why don't we just sort of address it in public so that who knows, some QAs out there who are facing similar situation, they might as well benefit from it. So yeah, so let's move on to the next part. Okay. I all right. Okay, there's some delay there. Okay, so a little bit introduction about myself. I'm a senior QA for almost 7 years. I've actually moved across about 5 different industries so far. I'm also a certified trainer at Think Leo, where I do training for uh, topics in software engineering for various kind of segments. And then I'm also a core member of Synapse QA, which is a online QA kind of community. So currently, I'm working for a company which is in the Web3 sort of industry. It's called Buddy Research. So yeah, so that's a little bit introduction about myself. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? So first, we're going to look at what is QA shapeshifters first, and then we're going to look at four scenarios and strategies, how to approach those scenarios, and then finally we'll go up with the conclusion, looking at few good to have or nice to have mindsets, which would help all the QAs, I believe. Okay, so slide 3. So I'd like to begin with a simple quote here by a famous person. Everyone knows Bruce Lee, right? So the famous quote by him is like, "Be water, my friend." So it goes something like, "Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless, like water. You put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Water can flow or it can crush. Be water, my friend." Well, this quote has been there for a very long time. It didn't really resonate with me back then, but as I progress slowly in my career, I believe that this is something which is very very powerful, especially for us QA, because there are a lot of rapid changes going on in the industry, software industry. So if we could just be formless and shapeless like water, we can easily flow and navigate through the situation and crush through all the issues or challenges we are facing. So yeah, be water, my friend. So the next slide. Okay, so we'll start off with what is QA shapeshifters. Oop, 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 oop. I'm sorry, there's some sort of issue with this slide. Okay, so what is QA shapeshifters? So QA shapeshifters is basically, by definition, is referring to someone who possesses the ability to adapt to changing job environment. Okay, so it's basically a person who's highly flexible, versatile, and capable of adjusting their approach to strategies to meet evolving need of their jobs, industry, and organization. So in long story short, QA shapeshifters are person who's able to adapt to situation easily. So when I say that, like, what are the some of the traits where QA shapeshifters have? Let's just look at few points of it. Okay, so the first point is adaptability. So what adaptability means is basically a person who can respond to changes in the software industry easily. Okay, so we know that today, right? I mean, back then there was, for example, there was Selenium as a software automation tool, and then there was maybe Cypress, and then just now there was Playwright, and then there's ChatGPT. Who knows what's tomorrow? So as a QA, right, we are constantly being hammered by all these sort of changes in terms of technology. So a person who's highly adaptable should be able to adapt to this new technologies, I believe. Okay. The second part is versatility. So versatility, what it means is that as a QA, right? Just now, there was a speaker who spoke about being a full stack tester. So a full stack tester, basically a person who does end to end. So usually, when we say QA, right, we usually go to the functional testing, the UI testing, those kind of thing. But in real life job environment, you're sort of being thrown into various sort of expectation, where you will be expected to, although your expertise might be on functional testing, you would be expected someday to just do API testing or automation testing. So you must be versatile enough to actually plug in your experience as a QA tester into different types of area or domains, right? So that's versatility. Okay, and then continuous learning. So as a QA shapeshifter, right, the element of continuous learning is the most, I believe, one of the most key feature here, because as situation change, environment change, there's a lot of learning to do. Okay, so in order to remain as an effective tester and not being outdated, you need to continuously learn new things and get out of the comfort zone and search actively what are the things happening, what are the trends, and so on. Pick those up and continue updating yourself in order to be able to test effectively. Okay, and then problem solving. Yeah, I guess problem solving usually will associate maybe more towards developers, because we think that developers are solving codes and you know how to develop features and those kind of things. But it's also important to note that as a software tester, we also need a high amount of problem solving skill, critical thinking skills, because we are not just doing this clicking job. I believe most of us have already passed those mindset, right? We're not just clicking applications and not and so on. We are equally just like all other engineers under software engineering. We too have our set of challenges in terms of problem solving, learning technologies, and so on. It's just equally the same, right? Probably the approach is different, but it requires the same quality as well. And then communication. I think this is one of the quality which sort of under, I would say, under mentioned or something, because as you move across different, for example, company, right? You might come across different sort of people or different sort of culture and everything. So no matter how good tester you are, no matter how experienced you are, it all boils down to one thing: how well can you communicate to that particular group of people? Because when you move to a new company, you will be meeting a different set of people from different set of culture. So when the communication does not happen, no matter how good you are, it's not really worth it. Okay, so that's one thing. And finally, resourcefulness. So this quality is very important because uh, you it's not always a situation where we can think of when we're going to join a company where you'll be having a team of 10 people. You'll be given all the budget by the company to do your testing. That's not how it works in reality. uh, Probably you'll be the only QA, and then they don't have budget to maybe sponsor your expensive tools or toys. And all you need to do is you need to be resourceful enough to look out for all these open source tools maybe. And then you need to communicate and network with your peers, maybe within the company, outside the company, and solve your problem. So resourcefulness is also one of the key features being a QA shapeshifter. Okay, so enough with this definition thing. Let's just dive into these scenarios. Okay. Okay. So the first scenario is like most people who come that I have a conversation with, right? They always come up and they always tell me this issue like, oh, hey Ram, actually I'm having a bit of like a slow increment, or I'm not getting this promotion and everything. I've been in this company for almost like 10 years, and nothing is moving. I'm not sure what to do. Should I leave? Should I stay? So what should I do? They're kind of confused. But when I see you, you're like able to move. So how do I do this? Should I just follow you? Those kind of things. So my approach or strategy to this scenario is like, first you need to ask yourself first, are you contributing more value than your current salary and position? So this is a mindset which I sort of adopted from one of these, I don't know which person or which video I watched someday, where this point literally got hammered into my mind. Like, we should always ask ourselves first, are we providing more value than our current salary? Okay, so because our salary, right, is basically is a trade between the value which we provide uh, and the money which they're compensating to us. So if we, yes, it's just a basic maths. So the higher the value, higher the salary. Simple as that. So when we question ourselves, we check first. Okay, okay, right now I want to increase the value so that I can get a higher salary. So how do I approach that? So first thing is first, probably you need to hook up with your manager or something. You need to maybe set an expectation first, saying that, okay, I think I'm planning to maybe deliver an automation project for maybe within 3 months or 4 months. And then probably it'd be nice if you could, give me a little bit of increment just to appreciate my effort and so on. Deliver that first, and then towards the end maybe do a presentation and so on. After that, you push for what you think you deserve for the value which you have contributed. So give the value first and then ask for raise. So many people out there, not I wouldn't say many people, some people out there who's facing similar situation, they be like, oh, I'm doing my 9 to 5 job, I'm doing my job very well, why should I give more? Whatever money they've given me, I'm doing my job well, that should be enough, right? Well, truth to be told, if you look on your left and your right, all your peers are also doing good. So what's the difference which would push for that particular promotion or the particular raise? It's that 0.1%. So if you look at a sprint or race, right? A sprinter. So everyone practices fast and they try to run fast. So before they could actually reach the end line, by difference of 0.1 second, that actually makes a difference between winning and losing. So do not underestimate the power of 0.1%. So same thing goes to your value as well. Do not underestimate the power of delivering something extra, just a little bit outside of a 9 to 5 job. That could actually make a huge difference. Okay. So of course, it's not always as easy as a theory, right? So if of course, if things doesn't happen or after you do all that, always remember this, that your growth is your responsibility. Okay, at the end of the day, because it's not, your company is not going to come and look out for you saying that, hey, you're not growing, okay, I should help you. Yeah, probably a good company, but if you that does not happen, you have to always remember at the end of the day, your growth is your responsibility. After taking all the actions of raising and stuff like that, then probably the best action is for you to look out for another company which values you better, or provide an appropriate compensation based on your skill set. Because truth to be told, the amount of budget allocated for to hire a new person is actually higher compared to the budget allocated for a person for internal promotion. So the choice is yours. Yeah, so just use it accordingly. Okay. So a second scenario is joining a new company. So I also get this question like, hey, how what are the things I could be like mentally prepared when I'm looking for when I'm going to join a new company, right? So sometimes like when you join a new company, they feel like, oh, I'm sort of like missing my old company. In my previous company, I had all these good things, and in this new company, oh, this thing is quite bad. This thing. So we tend to compare, right? That's human nature, because the grass always seems greener on the other side. That's a common human kind of nature. So just because you're feeling that, usually they will start like, okay, I think I should make another jump. I think I should leave now. So should they do that? So my strategy towards that is, okay, there's two parts. Two questions here. Okay, first thing, uh, how do I get an interview first of all, right? So always remember, getting a job first of all, it's more of like a probability game, I would say. It's part of it because sometimes, no matter how good you are or how well your skill set is, it's about meeting the right company at the right time at the right place. Okay, so do not go in the mindset of having just applying 3 jobs and you fail and everything, then be like, okay, I guess things are not working out, I should give up. No, you need to have the drill down a mindset of having to attend 100 interview at least before giving up. So I initially started with that mindset of things are not working. When I see some people, they just attend another interview, they just get job instantly. So things looks quite nice, but in reality, it's not that. It's just a probability game. So probably if that person need to apply 3 times, you maybe need to do it 10 times, or maybe within one time you might just get a job. So it depends on that. So just set the bar to 100 and start doing that. Probably you might get luckier or get a chance to get a better job, so on. Okay, so second point is that once you have joined the company, right, so it's a very very natural that within the first 3 months you will get into this hangover effect, I would call it. Okay, because like I said, it's these 3 months is the most painful, where you will be struggling to adapt to the new company's culture, the environment, the technology, a lot of things. Okay, so not all the things are good in a company. There's always a pros and cons. Okay, so within the 3 months, you need to have a lot of patience, and you need to get highly involved as possible. Try to do your level best to actually adapt, because it's not just you adapting, it's the company adapting to you as well. It's both ways. So that's why they have this probation period. So if during this probation period, it's not just the company having probation on you, you having probation on the company as well. So give it some time and see how it goes. Okay, so for me, right, let's say if I have passed the probation and I'm still unsure, like, is this company suitable for me or not, I would say give it at least 9 to 1 year time to really 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 know whether this is suitable for you or not, whether the culture aligns to you or not. Okay, so let's say it doesn't work, then it's fine, it's very legit for you to move. But 99.9% of the time, after 9 months, trust me, you'll get very comfortable, and you will start picking up things, the pace and everything will be done, and everything will be by fingertips. And if everything is good, you'll start flying already. Okay, so don't just react just based on that particular 3 months of painful torture. Okay. And then culture and social shift. So I'll try to speed up a bit because short of time. So this is also another common issue faced where there's usually in a company, right? There's this kind of what do you call it, merging. So merge happens quite often. So when merging happens, two things usually happens. Usually it's for the good or for the bad. Sometimes you might get promoted, sometimes you might get depromoted, or your reporting line might just change. So during this kind of uncertainty, it's very common that people feel fear, people feel scared, and the natural human nature is just to run. It's a fight. It's basically a fight or flight kind of reaction. So what should they do? So my strategy towards that is basically, first, do not just react. Okay. So when change, you need to really understand that change is not necessarily bad. It is, can be good as well. So give it a time, analyze your option first. See what are the things happening. Just because you got demotivated, depromoted, doesn't mean that it could be a bad thing. Who knows, you might be getting a bigger responsibility, although your title changed. Okay, your title might change. Who knows, you might get a bigger responsibility where you can prove yourself. Within 3 to 6 months you might get promoted again to another team, or maybe the same team. Who knows? That actually happens and happened. I've actually witnessed that in some of my colleague. But honest to tell you some honest truth, I actually made some bad decision as well. So all this is just not based on the good decision which I've made, but some of the bad decision which I think I could do better as well. Okay. So yeah, if things go strong, what can you do? So let's remember, layoff can happen, right? So it does not just mean it happened during merging. If your company is doing good, layoff can happen as well. We have all seen during this COVID period, or post COVID period as well. So always prepare some emergency cash and everything, for you to just go through that period, and always just keep moving on and finding a new job. Okay, gonna speed up again. I'm so sorry. And then the last part is, I think, a pressure to learn new things. Right. This is also a very, very common situations going on everywhere right now, with the frenzy of AI, automation, and everything. So if you talk to a manual tester, some of them will be coming and telling me like, "Hey, are you going to steal my job? Is it because you know automation?" So I'm like, "Huh? Do you even know what is automation and what is manual QA? You know?" So the term even automation, manual QA, like what exactly do you mean? Both of us are under the same umbrella, which is QA. So those kind of things. But yeah, back to this point. When a QA, you're pressured to learn, for example, automation, right? You'll be like, okay, I'm being paid just to do this particular amount of learning and delivery, and now suddenly you want me to do automation. Should I do it, or should I, just say no and move on? And sometimes, right, I feel like I'm just too old to do all this. I'm not flexible enough to do this. I don't think I can do it. So how do I deal with this thing? Okay. So I want to say that, first thing, if you feel this kind of pressure, right, which it means that something good is actually happening. Just think of an example of an car engine, right? In order for the car to move in the engine, right, in the combustion chamber, there needs to be certain amount of pressure. For example, a pressure chamber, there needs to be a fuel, ignition, fire. So when things explode, it creates a pressure, and then the car moves. The piston moves and the car moves. Same thing goes to you. When there's a pressure, only then you move. All right. So not all pressure is bad. So first thing is first, pressure can be good. Okay. So that being said, the second point is, if you feel that you're not being paid enough, right, it's actually a good thing, because you know that you are at the point where you know that you're providing more value. So when you know that you're providing more value, which means you can actually earn more. So that means you're progressing. Okay. So it's good. Therefore, uh, when you're pressured to learn new things, don't take it negatively. Look at it as in the lens of you making a progress. Okay. And then you also have to realize that if you fail to learn, you will learn failure, because anyone who sees learning, that is naturally is death. We can actually see this in nature as well. Any creature or any organism that fails to evolve, they will get eliminated through natural selection. So regardless your age, your time, or your environment, or your background, or whichever point you're starting from, always learn. Do not stop. You can be a tester, you can be anyone for the matter. Just continue learning. Okay, of course, if things get difficult, it's not easy for me just to say, hey, learn and everything. You got to get more creative, like not just going through YouTube and stuff like that. You need to reach out to people. Like the most effective way which I learn from is actually through people. I reach out to these mentors or people from the community where they actually, everyone specializes in something, so you can just learn a little bit here and there and eventually compile it to something beautiful where it works, right? Okay, I think I'm running out of time, so I'm going to move on with the conclusion. The last part is, so I'm going to conclude this whole session with few mindsets. So again, your growth is your responsibility. You got to remember that forever. Really hold on strong to it. Okay, and then build your EQ, not just your IQ. So uh, I always realize that a lot of people praise intelligence, but there's very little people who praise emotional intelligence, because no matter how intelligent you are, when you don't have emotional intelligence, no companies actually wants you. It's very difficult for you to become a team player. So eventually, it doesn't connect. No matter what, how valuable you are, if it doesn't reach the correct people, it doesn't work. So emotional intelligence comes first. Your intelligence will naturally follow. So that's that. And then the third point is do whatever it takes. That's the hardest thing to do, but yeah. And just because I say whatever it takes, don't do the negative things. Always try to approach things for a constructive purpose. Uh, try to do things which is positive. I can't elaborate much now on that. And then last thing, just remember that always have the mindset of being a lifelong student, because uh, universities, schools, and everything are there as just part of our stepping stones of learning. Learning, when you look at learning, right, it's actually this whole world and this whole timeline of our life. This whole thing is actually a journey of learning. You don't just learn in school. When you're born as a baby, you're automatically learning how to crawl, how to walk, how to talk. That's type of learning. When you go to schools and university and college, they just teach you the foundation. But once you graduate from there, you got to start picking up things on how to maybe become a tester, how to learn automation. They don't teach you that in school, but you actually pick up in work life. So same thing, if you want to progress more, you just got to keep learning and learning and learning. So yeah, with that being said, I think I have to wrap up my session. That's all. Thank you. Any question?
That was a brilliant session, to be honest. Like, it touched me emotionally, to be honest. Like, this is actually a bitter truth that people needs to hear. Like, to be honest, like, I don't want to be emotional over here by seeing your slides, by hearing your stories about 3 months of preparations, like how the 3 months of preparations that you went through. I can totally relate it to, being personally, I can totally relate it to my life. Like, I completely get you, La. Like, I completely understand your perception. And yes, people needs to ramp up their emotional intelligence. Like, people are like completely going with their intelligence or brain IQ, things like that. But we need to be a matured in everything. We have to make sure like it's everything is balanced. So emotion is something which we needs to focus upon, because really speaking, like, people doesn't speak about emotions at all. They just want the things to be done, that's it. Like, they don't have to understand like what are the emotions that we have, and like the drainage, the brains, the mental blockage that we have. I completely get you. And like, this is the bitter truth. Like, people will not, like, people actually ignore speaking this, but you just came up with this. Like, you were just completely harsh with your ideas, and that I really liked it. Like, you would just become so bold, and like you talk everything. So that's a very good thing, and you made us Malaysians so proud, to be honest. I'm personally proud of you. I'm personally proud of you, bro. It's like, to be honest, like, yes, like, the way you said was completely motivated. Like, that is no words. Like, I'm completely out of words. Like, rather than hearing about the QA testers, technical terms or jargons, now I heard about like how personally a QA person or any other domain person goes through in layoffs and things like that. And this is something which we need. Like, this is a talk which we need to have, to talk in the current scenario. And thank you for bringing this topic. Thank you so much for showing such a wonderful bravery act to make the slides, to just be like abstract with your bitter truth. Like, even though it was like, even though you know that you will be getting a like a kind of not
Yep,
that
yep.
great pressure in the environment, you were like, okay, fine, just go with that. I really loved your bro. Like, It's just a thing. I think like these are things which Malaysians we have in our blood. Like am I like, oh my god, being an Asian, especially in Malaysia, and a Malaysian, it's something which, because to be honest, like I personally get excited when I meet a Malaysian like that. So that's why like I'm in touch with Priscilla and you, like, oh, you always talk to Priscilla. Like Malaysians are different. Like they're like, they know the community, they love the community from their heart. So that's what, like, I'm really glad, and thank you so much for being a part of this wonderful session. So any questions you have, peers, like you can feel free to ask in the comment box, or else you can just directly move on to the next slide. So do you have any questions, or do you have any last parting words, Ram, before?
uh, I just want to say, like, on this global tester stage today, right? Just don't forget to celebrate yourself, right? It's very, very important. Take pride in our job. Be proud of yourself, and just keep hustling. That's all. Thank
Just
you.
keep hustling. Yes, we have to keep on hustling. Like we know, no matter what, we should not give
Yeah,
up. We should
yeah, yeah.
hustle all the day. So being that said, thank you so much, Ram, and once again, glad vanakkam and namaskara from my end. To be
Namaskar.
honest, like
All right.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon. Talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye
Talk
bye.
to you soon too. Bye bye. So man, that was like something which, personally speaking, like I get too much excited when I'm seeing a Malaysian person, or like a person from any part of the world. Like I can totally relate with them. It's just because of biological gene. Just go with that. I don't want to get emotionally involved. So let us do one thing. Let's have a quick round upon Mo and Kish, one of our community users who just wants to share their ideas about QA touch. So just go to the video.
I like the way QA Touch integrates with our existing tools like Jira. So we are able to use QA Touch right within Jira, even we do not have to leave Jira at all. Kind of gives you a whole integrated experience. You can also report bugs through QA Touch to Jira. So I think that integration makes things a lot more easier, and also to onboard the testers and others in our organization.
So when we started the POC with QA Touch, right, the most liked feature for me was importing of test cases. Actually, because initially everything was in our Google Sheets and all, which was very hard for us to manage. And to report also, it was very difficult to show Excel sheets on the test results. So when we did POC on QA Touch, it was easy for us to import the test cases, which we already had. We had like 1,000 plus test cases for every features, every releases. So it was easy to import the test cases with minimal efforts from our side. So that helped us a lot in QA Touch.
I personally like the reusable test steps and test cases, which reduces a lot of redundancy, which it reduces a lot of repetition of the same steps again and again. I feel that is a time saver. I personally like that feature a lot.
Whenever we get to a blocker or any issues which you feel like it would be a good add-on from QA Touch, we simply request that and we back it up, and they understand that yeah, this is good and this can be done, and they also give the ETA like by when we can expect that features, which is really transparent. And definitely what Gagana has mentioned, like we always get the mail and the notifications like yeah, we have released, so definitely good.
Listening to their customers and trying to constantly improve, showing empathy to the customers, and also I think we have influenced QA Touch roadmap many times. The features we have requested have been rolled out.
And using QA Touch, it has helped us in sending reports also. We can directly attach the test run results, releases results and all.
The primary reason why we moved to QA Touch was because of lack of support from the previous vendor. So I think that is one area where QA Touch excels. We always have got exceptional support. Whenever we had questions, queries, or even issues, I think we have got quick resolutions, which makes I think QA Touch stand out from many other tools.
We have really liked using QA Touch till now. So most of all our releases are going via QA Touch. We upload test cases in QA Touch. We are running test runs, releases and all.
When we did this POC, we were researching multiple tools. So what we found out was there were two kinds of tools in the market. So one were kind of open source, but they were pretty much outdated and lacked the features we need. The other half were though they were modern, we found some modern test case management tools, but they were way too expensive for what they offered. So I think QA Touch brought that nice balance, rightly priced and was feature rich. Exactly something that we were looking for.
So guys, like by hearing these words, I'm completely overwhelmed. So let's move on our emotional track to the next speaker. So rather than a speaker, he is actually the mother of QA touch. Like, let me tell you honestly, like I work with her closely on a day-to-day basis, and she is actually go to go with any kind of scenarios. And I personally calls her a magician because she have magic potions for any part of solutions if we need. For example, if the sync up error is not working, or if there are any kind of technical glitches which is happening in the tool, she's like, okay, fine, do this and just gets rid of that. So let me welcome Bhavani, product manager of QA touch and DC cap. So hello Bhavani, how are you?
Yeah, hi Sarath. Good evening. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah,
Happy
thank you
Testers Day,
for
and
the
thank you so
welcome.
much.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thank
much
you.
for being available in this Saturday. So the
Yeah,
pod is completely yours. Like, guys, let's hear what the magician has to say. So the pod is completely yours, Bhavani. Just have a blast.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, Sarath. Yeah. Are you able to see my slides, Sarath?
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, hello everyone. Good morning and good evening to everyone. I am Bhavani, product manager of QATouch. First of all, I would like to wish everyone a happy Testers Day. I enjoyed all the sessions given by our great, awesome speakers. Thank you for joining the session. Topic AI in testing, how to adopt and learn. Next, we are going to see the presentation outline. What is AI? AI in testing, how to learn and adapt, and next, AI learning tips. AI is becoming a buzzword. We are going to see what AI is. AI is a machine's ability to perform the cognitive functions we usually associate with human intelligence. This means it handles tasks such as learning, pattern recognition, and problem solving with a machine efficiency that sometimes exceeds human capabilities. AI used in the real world in many ways. Firstly, in professional life, it has become an invaluable tool for everyone analysts, bankers, engineers, and testers, and more. In our personal lives, it powers the virtual assistant smart speakers people have at home, shapes the recommendations we get when shopping online or listening to music, and more. Next, we are going to see a small statistics about AI. 35% of companies are using AI and 42% of companies are exploring AI for its implementation in the future. It shows that the number of companies adopting AI is increasing every day. Is AI your ally or foe? Feel free to type in the comments. Will AI take over software testing? What do you think? No, AI won't take the position of humans conducting software testing. Although AI can help automate some parts of the process, humans will still be required to do jobs like providing context and making decisions based on the test results. We should not fear the new jargon. We have to be continuous and curious learners to know about the latest trends and techniques. Make AI your ally to better your work. AI doesn't replace our creativity, it empowers it. You may wonder, if I am a new person and our organization is new to AI, then how can I adapt and learn? Sharing from our experiences a few things like access to the right data is key thing to create a skills and data literacy strategy. that serves as a roadmap for hiring and creating the appropriate teams and individuals. Upskilling current team, increasing data and tech literacy globally, and finding the proper partners are the keys to successfully completing this phase. Next is the right technology we are adapting. The application of AI are numerous, ranging from ask me anything chatbots to machine learning that anticipates a customer inclination to make a purchase. This indicates that with the appropriate data, procedures, and technology, AI can and should be presented in a variety of ways. For instance, a current technological stack is necessary for many AI algorithms to consume real time data from event streams and processes. While teams must create original machine learning methods for some projects, others might use the pre made as a service ready to available algorithms. The technology used to gather, store, and process data frequently has to be updated as a result of AI. Like any technology, AI has incredible potential but also risks being used improperly. One such instance is biased and obtrusive AI. Business need to eliminate biases from the systems and put data security and privacy at the forefront of everything they do to counteract this. To guarantee that AI systems adhere to legal obligations, organizations should have explicit ethical and governance framework in place. The next important thing is everyone has to be have a common goal and have to collaborate for the any new initiative. So engage your employees not only in the completed strategy but in the creation of a strategy itself. For some this is an annual process, for others it might happen at key times to influence organizational changes. Either way, engaging employees in this level of strategic conversation can be inspiring and have a significant impact on employee motivation and engagement. Encouraging questions from a diverse group of sources about the possibilities around AI can only serve to deepen and widen the potential of AI to the business. Last but not least, stay away from AI for AI's sake and make sure you use AI wisely. Everyone is using AI, so we also have to use that. That should not be our case. Your AI activities must be completely in line with your company's needs and technological plan. Too many businesses experiment with AI without first considering how it might help them solve problems and find opportunities. Next, we are going to see how can we leverage AI in testing. To effectively leverage AI in testing, consider the following steps. Okay. Identify use cases. Determine which testing tasks can benefit most from the AI automation. Choose AI-powered testing tools or platforms that align with your testing needs. Ensure that you have clean and representative data of training AI models. Integrate AI tools seamlessly into your existing testing processes. Train AI models with relevant data and validate their accuracy before deploying them in testing. As Ram also mentioned in the previous session, like continuous learning is important. Continuously, you will improve AI models and algorithms to adapt to evolving applications. Maintain in-person testers for critical thinking, test strategy, and interpret AI-generated insights. There are many options to leverage AI. Here, I have mentioned a few generic use cases in testing. Do better planning of the tests. Choose which test cases to generate for a new feature and how to run the test cases. Generate test data. For instance, you can use AI to generate realistic names, addresses, phone numbers, or email addresses for your test data. Do visual testing. Visual testing evaluates the visible output of an application and compares that output against the results expected by the baseline design. By using ML-based visual validation tools, we can find differences that human eyes would most likely miss, difficult to find out. Create and manage more maintainable test scripts. Jeff Mayer, a test engineer at Dell EMC, talked about this in his session at the AI Summit Guild. He told the story of how his team members found themselves caught in the test automation trap and how they overcome with the help of AI. Faster delivery of the project. How often do your automation tests fail due to developers making changes to the product, like renaming the form field or the name or ID? I have faced this many times. But tools can use machine learning to automatically adjust to these changes. This makes tests more maintainable and reliable. For example, current AI ML testing tools start learning about your application, understanding relationships between the parts of the document object model, and learning about changes throughout time. Log analysis is very difficult when it has a huge file. So AI can analyze logs to detect anomalies. Let's lead with curiosity, innovate with purpose, and shape a future we are really proud to be part of. By effectively integrate AI into your testing process, you can enhance efficiency, test coverage, and the overall quality of your software while freeing up your testing team to focus on more complex and creative tasks. Absolutely, AI has the potential to revolutionize the way to generate tests and streamline various aspects of development and quality assurance. The upcoming release of AI powered test case generation using ChatGPT in KTouch sounds promising. We are going to see the video. Sarath, can you play that video for me? It will generate, when you type the test case title, it will generate the test case steps automatically. Yeah. Thank you. Learning AI empowers you to address the real world challenges more efficiently and effectively. AI is rapidly becoming an integral part of various industries from healthcare, finance, manufacturing to entertainment. Learning AI now positions you well for further career opportunities as AI technologies continue to advance. It can be intellectually stimulating and personally rewarding. It challenges your problem solving abilities and encourages continuous learning. AI fosters innovation and opens up opportunities for entrepreneurial ventures. AI leverages data to provide insights and support decision making. Understanding AI enables you to make data driven choices in both your personal and professional life. Also, it has the potential to address some of the world's most pressing challenges, such as climate change, healthcare accessibility, and other things. Your AI expertise could contribute to meaningful global solutions. Learning AI can be an exciting and intellectually rewarding journey, whether you are just starting or looking to deepen your knowledge. Here are some tips to help you along the way. Understand the basics of machine learning. Begin with a strong foundation in machine learning. Learn about supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. Understand key concepts like algorithms, training data, and model evaluation. Python is the most commonly used programming language in AI. Learn it well along with libraries like NumPy, Pandas, and scikit-learn. Brush up your mathematics, especially linear algebra, probability, and statistics. Take advantage of online courses and tutorials. Platforms like Coursera, Udemy are offer excellent courses on AI and machine learning. And read books and research papers too. Books like Hands-on Machine Learning with Skitlearn is a great book to start with. Read research papers and stay up to date with the latest developments in the field. AI is a broad field. Consider specializing in a subfield like computer vision, shortly called as NLP, natural language processing, or reinforcement learning based on your interests. And not only learning, Practical experience is invaluable always. There is no better way to learn than by doing. Start with simple projects and gradually move to more complex ones. Building your own projects will deepen your understanding. AI communities and collaborations are thriving. Learning AI allows you to engage with like minded individuals, collaborate on projects, and contribute to open source initiatives. So far, we have seen tools which need skills and expertise. You may think, can I experience AI without coding? Yeah, we have multiple options there. So, few sites we are going to see about without coding knowledge, you will be able to access it. The first one, probably you might all have experience with the OpenAI, ChatGPT. Everyone knows this and might have tried also. It's a AI powered language model developed by OpenAI capable of generating human like text based on context and past conversations. You can try the AI experiments to understand how AI works. Next one is Quick Draw. It is an online game developed by Google that challenges players to draw a picture of an object or idea and then uses a natural network AI to guess what the drawings represent. The AI learns from each drawing, improving its stability to guess correctly in the future. Teachable Machine is the next one by Google Creative Lab. A fast, easy way to create machine learning models. No coding knowledge is required. Then Veka, it is an open source GUI machine learning tool developed by University of Waikato. It is available with an easy GUI and the library is simple to learn compared to other tools like TensorFlow and other things. For a beginner in machine learning and AI, the algorithms can be either applied directly to a data set or called from our own Java code. These are all the references I used. Do you have any questions? Feel free to type.
So guys, if you have any questions, like if you can chat, can feel free to drop it in the chat. So Bhavani, that was an amazing session, to be honest. Like my head is like completely filled with AI right now with no code automation tools. And like yes, having a balance between this AI and human power will be very good, because AI cannot exceed human power, because we don't want the world to ruled by robots. Nobody wants the world to be ruled
Yeah.
by robots. So everything should be in a minimal level. Like everything, like if you just, even though like there will be situation where people will be thinking like AI can replace the job of a person, but that's not
No.
going to happen. Like
Yeah.
if you understand how to use AI, then you can be still be in the job, because AI is made by human. It's just a thing which is bought out from a human brain, so obviously it cannot eradicate the entire human. So that's just completely a misconception. So through the slides, the slide was very informative. So thank you so much, Bhavani, for being such a wonderful community provider. I'm so glad. And like yeah, I mean, guys, like we are officially related. Like I work under Bhavani, so she is like actually my manager. Like for any kind of QA things, I directly go to her. So in case if you have any questions related to QAs, you can directly feel free to reach out to her in LinkedIn. She's available for the community users all the time. She's like actually a mentor as well, so you can ask any of the questions. And in case if you need more information, you can directly reach out to us via info@qatouch.com. So thank you so much, Bhavani, for your wonderful session. So do you have any questions, guys? Like you could just feel free to drop it over the chat. I think we don't have. So in case later on after the broadcasted video, if you have any question, just feel free to reach out to us. We'll be in a position to help you out over there. So once again, thank you so much. Vanakkam, namaskaram,
Yeah.
Bhavani, for this wonderful session.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. And I hope this session was helpful. Happy
It
testing.
is.
Yeah.
Happy testing. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.
So guys, like what no more, like the event is going to be in an end, to be honest. Like it's going to conclude. So this was actually the event which touched me personally and emotionally, because the Ram's slide was completely, it just made my eyes tears in tears. And the presentation by our KG of Prashant, Sri, Ajibola, and Andrew was like extraordinary vacancy, and just it was so pleasure to end it with Bhavani's slide where she was in a position to share about the AI. And yes, we have to minimize the use of AI through an equilibrium usage. So, guys, on this special day dedicated to all testing superheroes around the world, I want to extend our heartfelt wishes and appreciation to the incredible testers who work like tirelessly to ensure quality the software is completely in a qualitized and a relatable way. So your dedication, the dedication to attention to details, the passion of delivering flawless software are driving forces behind innovation and excellence in the tech industry. So in QA Touch, we are committed to supporting testers like you with our cutting edge testing solutions. Together, we strive to make the testing more efficient, effective, and enjoyable, of course. So let's continue to break the boundaries. Let's get out of the comfort zones, embrace these new challenges, and elevate our standard of living and testing and software quality. So here's for the brighter future filled with bug-free story. Happy testing. May your local test cases play pass along with a vibrant colors. And once again, a quick shout out to our sponsors, DCCAP Circly, Comcast, Gunesh from Liberated Tester, and Test House Limited. Thank you so much, guys, for being a wonderful listener, to being a wonderful reaching out of this person. In case if you have any questions about the tool, about our any of the speaking sessions, please feel free to reach out at info@qatouch.com. I'll be able to help you over there. So happy Testers Day, happy International Testers Day, and have a bug-free hunting. Thank you so much, guys. Good night, good evening, and good morning to different part of the people who are watching it in live or in stream. Have a great sleep, and bye bye. Take care. Have a great day ahead.